and it comes up, so they don't want it twice.
Yes.
Perfect.
Which is consistent, right, with...
So you plan to do the ordinances
Well, the
for
master plan says
Michelangelo, or did you want to
R1C.
move that up just to...
I was going to, but Michelangelo's going to be... Got it. I asked him to do that. It's just suburban residential.
Fair enough.
He's got another meeting somewhere. This is cute. He's going to go to that one.
Build something else somewhere?
If he walks in for that,
I always
after, if he, say he walks in during growth,
Entertain a motion.
like a fun t-shirt.
probably no.
You guys ready?
I don't know. That's a secret. I don't.
You guys ready to start?
Oh, sure. Dana,
You guys ready?
be able to give you a hand. That's a pretty building.
Are we keeping?
I've been asked that by 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, he has another commitment, so he won't be here until later.
Good evening, everybody. If you would, please be seated.
They're gummed up. They're ready to go. Rock and roll.
Are they on? Is the microphone?
Am I on? Okay. Can you guys hear me out there? All right. Hey guys, I'm calling the meeting of the Washington Township Planning Commission meeting for March 12th, 2026 to order. If you would, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Welcome to the meeting, the people of Washington Township. Appreciate you all being here tonight. Dana, roll call, please.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Thomas, Mr. Jaski,
Here.
Mr. Chaplin,
Here.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Robb.
Here. And can I get approval of the minutes? I'm sorry, we'll go to approval of the agenda this evening.
Motion to approve? the
Second.
agenda?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Approval of the minutes from the January 8th, 2026 meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from January 8th.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Any correspondence, Dana?
No correspondence.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is for public comment on non-agenda related items. I wanted to just point out, I know a lot of you are here on the item 7B, the Board of Trustees request to the Planning Commission about the data center ordinance. That is not a public hearing, but we will allow public comment during that time. So if your comments during the non-agenda related items involve anything to do with data centers or anything of that nature, I would request you hold those until item 7B. So if there are any public comments not related to any of the items on the agenda, now would be a time to speak about those at the podium. Seeing none, we'll close out the public comment on non-agenda items. Move to 7A, new business, the Groves, Washington hearing, the Groves of Washington, public hearing for the rezoning request for part of 240411 10116, 36.6 acres plus or minus, A1 ag residential to R1D single family residential. Do we have the applicant in the audience tonight? If you wouldn't mind.
Hello.
Hello, appreciate you being here tonight. If you wouldn't mind, I'm sure, do you have a presentation or anything you'd like to go, or just?
I'm not that fancy, but I do
Okay,
have some
fancy, I love
comments.
that.
Yeah, no, not fancy, but I do have some comments, yes.
Okay, great.
So if I can start, my name, Hannah Parakovic. I am here on behalf of the developer. We have a whole development team behind this. Unfortunately, most of that team was unable to attend, so you get me tonight. With that being said, the developer, being statewide Van Dyke LLC, with that, wanted to thank you guys for being here tonight. I know it's late, everybody has things to do, so thank you all for being here. Moving forward from that, the application is simply for purpose of rezoning. The rezoning is what we, again, are here for. That rezoning does align with the Township Master Plan that I can read. I have shared, or I guess would request, if you guys would like me to share the latest version of our application. So since we applied, we have some updates and some modifications to that. We had some comment back from each of you who took the time to read it and revise it, or not revise it, but read it. We have made some changes. I have copies if you'd like them. If not, that's okay too, but I have them just in case. If you each would like
I think it'd be
copy.
appropriate,
Yeah?
if you
Okay.
wouldn't mind.
No, absolutely.
Disperse.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'll ask our planner, Kayla, to speak to her review comments, if she would.
Sure, thank you, Chair. So as the applicant stated, this is a rezoning application for a parcel that's at the intersection of Van Dyke Avenue and 29 Mile Road. This parcel,
No.
31, I apologize. Sorry. This parcel is currently zoned A1. It's located just west of that intersection, the southwest corner. It is future land use planned for suburban residential. So in the adopted master plan, Washington Township has a future land use map that gives a guide for future land uses and kind of development in the next, 5 to 10, 20 years. So the suburban residential designation for this area has to do with single-family residential on 10,000 to 15,000 square foot lots, corresponding to the R1C and the R1D zoning districts. The applicant has requested a rezoning from A1 to R1D. We provided more information in our review letter, but I just want to remind the Planning Commission that there are 11 criteria for you to consider when you're considering these rezoning applications. Our comments were minor on this application, but mostly had to do with the development impact statement that was submitted. I see the packet that the applicant has submitted to you all just now has an updated development impact statement. We have not had a chance to review that yet to see if it meets the ordinance requirements. And I'm happy to answer any other questions on our review.
Well, that sounds good. Mr. Kozak, water and sewer, I saw your comments. It sounds like this site is, it's good to go from a water sewer standpoint?
Sure. So, before that, I'll just comment, similar comments. There's deficiencies in the development impact statement. Obviously, we haven't had a chance to review it either. That would be something we definitely want to see before recommending an approval. But yeah, water and sewer, water main has been existing in front of this property for, since the township made the second connection to the GLWA main, which is behind the Romeo Theater, kind of southeast of the location. But sewer became available about 5 years ago when sanitary sewer main was extended to from the treatment plant to this location as a part of an SAD. High participation. This was one of the larger parcels, 40-acre parcel at the time. that voted in favor of that SAD because obviously the property really couldn't be developed to its highest and best use without that sewer. So there is sewer directly out in front on Van Dyke. Keeping in mind that there is some split zoning here, that the front piece is local commercial that actually fronts on Van Dyke. The piece that will tie in out to 31 Mile Road is the residential portion. Again, sewer was planned for those uses, adequate capacity in the system downstream as well as at the plant. I will just mention there were comments in the reviews also from the state of Michigan who looked at it from a impacts to natural resources. There is the Healy Brook drain, which is a county drain that runs directly through the site. There's existing wetlands on the site. All of that would be dealt with during the normal development of the parcel, and they would require permits where needed with the state. There's an existing pond that's on site that I believe they at least intend to keep, but not really spoken to in that development impact statement. So that's where we're looking for some more information.
And anything they came, obviously this is just the rezoning. They did provide a layout showing what that density would look like. But they're not tied to that not tied to that layout in any capacity. This is just a rezoning of the property to the R1D that would allow for that density on that parcel. From that standpoint, the sewer capacity was based on the highest use for that property, which would be the R1D.
That's right.
Okay, so we're good on that. Okay, good. I'll hand it over to commissioners. Any comments?
I just wanted to ask real quick, in the development impact statement you just gave us, is there anything you wanted to highlight that's significantly different from the previous one, just to give us an idea of what's in it before we read it?
Yeah, right, exactly. Just a few comments. So I hope this is, yes, a very topical overview. I know you guys did just receive it, just the timeline, there wasn't enough to distribute it. With that, since application, we were in the process of purchasing. Since then, we have purchased the land itself, so we are the owners. Again, statewide Van Dyke, not myself. But with that, we are looking to keep, just for comment, the zoning that is on the west side. So that is a little bit less dense on that property. We're not looking to change that zoning. We want to actually keep that as a buffer. What we are looking to rezone is from that A1 to R1D, as Kayla mentioned. She recapped it way better than I even could recover for you. But we do want to build that natural transition buffer to, again, try to keep least disruption to the community, but in fact, add in a beneficial way to the community.
Okay. So you'll be keeping the local commercial and the A1 that sort of bracket this?
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Have you had any discussions or come to any agreements with the Romeo Square condominium below you with regards to the south access road?
We have.
Okay.
Yes. That is also right now under contract to be purchased. We are not the official owners yet, but soon.
But that's proceeding. Okay. So you will have a south access road. All things.
Yeah.
All things go the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. So if I can just ask one more thing. Oh, sorry, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead,
Sorry,
please.
Sorry. I'm just, with only just passing out the packet, again, I know the deadline for distribution. We are looking to again, be a benefit to the community. With tonight's meeting, and again, everybody showing up and being here today, would it be acceptable to ask for this to be tabled so you guys have time to review it and we can discuss, move forward, and all have, again, not only my team behind me, but also allow you guys the opportunity to review it and properly understand what you may possibly.
I think I'd prefer that.
Okay.
I'd like to have the consultants and our consultants look at
Yeah.
that from a
Yeah.
planning and water and sewer standpoint,
Yeah.
and our planner to go through it, and obviously the commission itself. I think that would be the appropriate way to move on this.
Yeah, hold the public hearing.
Yeah, right now, yeah. Let's open up the public hearing then.
Okay.
Since it is scheduled for tonight, we'll open it up to the public hearing and like to
Wonderful.
move towards that.
Motion to open a public hearing?
Oh, wait, hold on.
Sorry, just one
Oh,
more thing.
please.
In regards to the harvesting of trees, we are looking to, under the Agricultural Act, farm that as in this active season. So we understand that we were excited and we we got started. We have ceased work completely, stopped completely. We are not disrupting the trees at the moment, but we do understand that we realize now we got ahead of ourselves. So I do want to acknowledge that it was an oversight. We did have a contractor under it. We assumed all things were being taken care of the way that they should be by our hired contractor. No excuse. That's why I'm here saying, hey, we're aware of it. But we have ceased all harvesting of any trees. So,
Okay. Appreciate that.
living and learning. Okay.
Thank you.
Public hearing, I can second.
We have a motion on the table to open the public hearing.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now open for the rezoning of the property along
Thank you all for
along
your time.
Van Dyke. Thank you, appreciate it. If anybody would like to speak to the, regarding the rezoning, please proceed to the podium. Please name and address for the record, if you would.
My name is Diana Magera. I live in Washington Township. And Jeffrey Hinton, also known as one of the godfathers of AI, has expressed deep regret in that he has overlooked how soon AI could become dangerous.
Ma'am? What?
Hinton is quoted for saying, "I should have realized much sooner what the eventual dangers were going to be. I also thought the future was far off, and I wish I had thought about safety sooner." Hinton's comments come at a time when experts are increasingly concerned about the speed at which AI is progressing and has been little done to manage and expose its risks as we head into the future. My name is Diana Magera, and my family and I are new residents and homeowners in Washington Township with young children in Romeo School District. We moved away from Troy just last August, looking forward to living in a community with more nature, fresh air, less noise, less traffic, a slower paced quality living of life. After finding out about a potential massive surveillance defense center being built near our home and our children's school, we started to get to work into research. Research after research, we have come to the conclusion that these data centers are not only harmful to our community, but compete with one of the most vital resources that we as human beings and all living organisms need to survive: water. We adamantly oppose the building of the AI data center along 32 Mile as if our lives depend on it, because if you look into the future, fresh water will be heavily depleted if we continue at this rate, and with that, humanity and all life itself put at great risk for survival. Data centers pose significant environmental and public health risks, including high energy consumption that contributes to greenhouse gas emissions and air pollution. Additionally, their operations strain local resources, leading to water shortages. Our home runs on well water. For example, from some research I found of a scholarly article from the Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance, data center water usage is already harming communities, especially those in high water stress areas. A short video showing a Georgia community living next to a metadata center shows their taps barely drizzling when fully turned on, leaving sediment pollution in their supply. Their wells are failing and are being polluted by the extensive construction needed to build these unprecedented types of buildings. There is also evidence that these data centers drive up electricity costs for residents. One study found that in the U.S.
I'm sorry, ma'am, your 3 minutes is up, ma'am. Ma'am,
water consumption.
ma'am, your 3 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Hey,
15 seconds.
what?
Can I say something really quick?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hello, my name is Magnus, and I'm from Washington Township, Michigan, and I go to Romeo Schools. And I think, in my opinion, these data centers will ruin my future and all these other kids, because it'll make like unhealthy health, so like the pollution and stuff. And yeah, I don't know.
Thank you so much, Magnus. Appreciate it. I didn't clarify this at the beginning of this. The public hearing for this part of the public hearing is for Groves of Washington's building development. If you would, please try to keep your comments towards that development so that the commission can finish out this portion of it and we can move on to the next agenda item. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Any further comment regarding the Groves?
Hi, I'm Sue Vagey, and I live at 11700 31 Mile Road. This new subdivision, it will be in my backyard. I'm not opposing it because I know I can't. I have lived there, I've been there all my life. So I've seen it go from orchard to what it is going to be. My deep concern is, you're talking about the water and bringing it in the sewer. I'm on a well. And, I don't think you can answer my questions now, but I'm just trying to put them out there now. What will happen to my well? I have also on the back of my property are trees that are 40 feet tall. And I know there's going to be digging, and I know that. What happens then if my beautiful pine trees, they hit something and the roots go along? I know the traffic's going to be horrendous. I know by the plan that I've seen, actually right here, the first one, apparently you have another version that you're going to review about the entranceways. Have any of you looked at the entranceway that they have proposed on this old one on Van Dyke? There's Culver's, you all know where Culver's is? And then there's an entranceway to what I grew up as the waterworks. This entranceway is supposed to go right between that. It's not going to concern me, but it will when I drive that way. I'm just asking you to look at that, to go out there and look at the property. Also, I'm right by Sisson Street, and right now they come down 31 Mile Road, 55 miles an hour. There's one stop sign, and that's at Sisson Street as you come into 31. I would like to see someone, and I will be back at different meetings, I'd like a stop sign, a three-way stop sign. The traffic is atrocious now, and with 77 homes, from what I've understood on this one, you figure one car for each home or 2 to 3. I'm just saying I know it's coming up. And like I say, I know I can't fight it. I'm not here to fight it. I know I can't. I'm just trying to make everyone aware that it's going to be a big problem traffic-wise too. But thank you.
Appreciate your comments.
My name is Joyce Nabasic. I live at 11870 West 31 Mile. Our property is, it's in borders, this division on the west side and the south side. Also, the neighbors on 31 Mile property is next to there. So, could there be some kind of a buffer zone between these properties? That's what we're wondering about.
We take the public comment now. We're not really, it's not a Q&A, unfortunately. The development of this property will have its own plan. This is not really, that plan they gave us is just conceptual. They'll have to, they would come back with a new plan.
I understand. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cecilia Simonson, 11370 Juliet, and I'm here on behalf of Frank and Joyce Nabisic. They haven't received any notification that this was even going to happen, and I'm not saying just in their backyard. It borders up to their backyard. As it's drawn right now, the retention pond would run right up to their property line. It doesn't show any kind of buffer or anything. They've got a lot of trees. That's an orchard that they have back there. And of their 4.5, almost 5 acres, their property borders the west side and the south side. All of their property borders this new subdivision on the south side. So I'm just very surprised that they haven't received some kind of an official notice that this was even going to happen, seriously, in their backyard. Frank and Joyce Nabisic. So you have another drawing that is different than the one that was on the packet?
There's the 300-foot notice is taken from the actual property. There's also that 10-acre piece that's not part of the rezoning request, so a lot of the neighbors that were adjacent to that didn't receive it because they didn't fall within that 300-foot notification. So
It's right up to their property.
all the numbers and the 300-foot notification is taken right from the GIS and sent. So it's an accurate, measuring tool from the parcel itself.
You could reach out to planning and they can explain that better, but there's rules they follow and they followed them.
Can I show you where the property is?
I don't have anything to do with the mailings.
Okay, for Dana?
But you're welcome to go over that with planning. You contact
You can
planning.
stop in the township hall or
Oh,
something.
she will. Okay, I'll bring her.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Thank you for listening.
sorry. Further comment? Oh, we have one coming. A couple coming, okay.
Hello, my name is Mike Bickman. My wife and I live right behind where this new subdivision. I'm at 66800 Bush Court. And I want to go on record saying we are opposed to the entire project. And I am equally as concerned for my well. I know there's going to be a lot of excavating when this does take place, or if it takes place. So wells are a big concern, as some of the other people have mentioned. And I also, now I noticed the last people say they didn't get a notice. I know I didn't get one because I'm not within the 300 feet of the rezoning package, but I do know other people who did not get a notice about the meeting as well, even though they're on the list. There's a list that is on the township website, and they had never received the notice about the meeting. So I just wanted to let you know about that also. So, but I am opposed to the entire project.
Appreciate your comments.
Good evening. Philip Zimmer, 11715 31 Mile Road. I live on the north side of 31. My biggest concern is traffic. I mean, I've lived in Washington Township 45 years. I've seen it go from small town America to what we have now. I'm not real crazy about it. I know they've already cleared, I live 3 driveways from Sisson Street on the north side. They've cleared the corner lot already, which is, 6, 7 acres that they've already cleared. They've been working on it for a week. Know something's coming. Me personally, I have to get my mail from my pickup because I can't even get my mail walking across the street because the traffic's so bad. You put a driveway at Sisson Street, you're going to have a big mess. It's going to be terrible. Somebody's going to get hit between the semis going up and down the road all the time, even when the weight restrictions are on. I'd rather see if they're going to do this, make them go through Kmart's parking lot or behind Culver's or whatever they're going to do, or maybe even buy the piece that the village owns, where the old waterwork was. Something, because if you put it out there, somebody's going to get killed. Somebody's probably going to get hurt the other way. They should probably go out to the light where Culver's is, personally, and cut through that way, somehow. I mean, developers got a lot of money. They can spend it. They seem to spend it all like it's water anyway, so, that's my biggest concern, is safety. you're going to develop it no matter what. I've been around this town, or Washington, like you said. All it is build. Build, 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 build. And we get more and more traffic. That's all I've got to say.
Hi, my name is Matt Fritz. I live in Bush Court. I live right next to this project. And I've been in the development business and building business for almost 60 years. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. I've developed property. I've never had complaints like these people out here to complain because of this garbage here. These lots are the size of my garage. And you want to put 65 of them, and then not only that, you're saying in your thing here, it says there's going to be 300 people occupying these units. You know, you get 4 people in a family, or 3 or 4. Well, now they got kids that are teenagers probably, and they drive. So the parents have cars, that's 2 cars, and the kids are going to have a car. So now you're going to have 3 cars or 4 cars at each one of these units here, 75 units. So you're going to have 400 or 500 cars going up and down 31 Mile Road. And I've lived there for 50 years. And it doesn't, you can't, the traffic light that's right at 31 and Van Dyke, they're backed up a mile an hour in traffic to get. It's all stop and go. Now they're going to put 200 or 300 more drivers down, coming up a little private road here and going down Van Dyke. It can't happen. It's ridiculous now. And not only that, the developer, I don't know who the developer is, if he's here or what, but I develop property, okay? And first of all, the private road that he's got there, that's illegal. Because if you notice, he's got a 30-foot easement there between the property line and where that comes out. Now, I don't know if they could get away with that, but I checked in developing that, I was going to buy that property. And I said, well, you know, you only put 1 house in that 10 acres. Now, I'll tell you why. Because the township, Washington Township, made an ordinance, you cannot put a piece of property or a road next to a private piece of property. And if you notice that easement there, the developer, whoever that is, decided, hey, I'm going to move the private road over 30 feet so I can get around that, I would guess. I guess that's what must have happened, because if you're looking at your map here, that they got a 30-foot easement or zone there between the lot line and the private road. And the reason they did that, I would have to assume, is because the township has an ordinance, you cannot put a private road next to a piece of private property. And there's a house up there, an existing red house that's been there for 50, 60, 70 years. I don't know, and I don't know if the owner is here or not. But anyways, he probably would have denied him permission to put that damn road next to him. And the Washington Township made this law, this ordinance effective, because they had a problem with my Bush Court when I put it in. We went round and round. And so anyways, there's things under here that's illegal.
Appreciate it.
Doesn't meet the code.
We'll look into that.
They're getting around it.
Any further discussion?
Hello, my name is Julie Shaner, and I've lived in Washington Township for about 15 years now. Similar to these folks, I moved out here with my family trying to be more of a country setting. Moved away from having the cookie cutter houses right on top of each other. I have 3 kids that have all went through Romeo schools. And unfortunately, you know, just hearing more development, more crammed in houses, is just really disappointing. You know, we just keep building more and more and more. Scared for my kids that are now of driving age, you know, they get run over. We live off a campground, and I always tell them, you know, look both ways 5, 6 times, right? People just fly down these roads. It's just not a nice country setting anymore. We just keep building it up. It's just disappointing. We can't look out and just have, you know, a little country or fields behind us anymore. Every square inch we're just building up. So I just wanted to say I agree with these folks, and I appreciate that they're speaking up, trying to preserve our community. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing?
Oh. Okay.
All right.
We're not done yet, okay? I'm with Matt Fritz here. I grew up in Washington Township. I am not a resident, but I'm a very good friend of his, and I'm very concerned about him and all these people and that land back there. They are cutting down 200-year-old trees that are this big around. They have already been doing it. She said they got ahead of themselves, and they stopped one day. For a week and a half, they've been tearing things up back there like crazy. And the day before the meeting, they're going to stop and say, oh, we got a little ahead of ourselves. So I have a problem with that for Matt and for the well-being of everybody in this community. And there are big traffic problems, school bus problems. Nobody mentioned the school buses. Nobody mentioned the fact that that road isn't even paved all the way. All the potholes and everything else right now.
Right, yeah, 31 miles is not even paved, it's a gravel road.
Sir, you've had your time. I'm sorry. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, 31 Mile Road is not paved.
Yeah, it's a gravel road, and they want to put all this garbage down there. That's not right.
And there was also something said when we went into the township that, well, they can cut the trees down, but they can't pull the roots. Well, that's incorrect too, because they're pulling the roots.
I've never heard of that.
They're taking everything out. I've seen them do it already.
Yeah.
I've been watching them.
Yeah, they said they can cut the
Mr.
trees
Fritz,
down.
I'm sorry. You've had your 3 minutes, sir. I'm sorry.
So that's it. So they really should, if they're gonna, they bought this land to develop it, why don't they thin it out and put a few houses back there away from the other residents and leave some nature there or something, and not stress out the roads and the people?
Appreciate your comments. Further discussion?
Gerald Westover, 58030 Jewel Road, right straight across here a mile. Been out here about 12 years. The last 5 or 6 years, the building has been just crazy. I mean, the infrastructure, there should be more thought into the infrastructure before all the building takes place. Thank all these people for showing up tonight and voicing their concerns. The last 4 or 5 years, I'm a walker and a cyclist. We can't even hardly walk down the street without constant noise. You can't cross the street. You have to wait 2 or 3 minutes. We pull out our driveway, and never had to wait for hours. I mean, like, it's getting almost like it's going to be like Van Dyke on Jewel Road. Now they're building a sub down here in the corner of 27 and Jewel. And fortunately, last week, the Township Board turned down a sub on 27 just to the east of Jewel Road. I don't know, I'm like these people. It's getting ridiculous. You can't even hardly get out of your driveway anymore. It's dangerous to walk. That's basically, I just wanted to add that to it for these people who've already expressed their concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Katie Yale. I live at 61356 Sutton in Washington. I'm not by this area, but I just want to caution people, be careful what you wish for, because somebody is going to develop that land, and right now, in the House, there is bills 55, 29, 30, and 31 that is going to make, they're going to develop this with the single-family housing. If these bills pass, you're going to have more multifamily everywhere. So I just caution people, be careful what you wish for, because if these bills pass, we're going to have more multifamily everywhere in our township. So call your senators, call your reps, tell them no to these bills, because that's the least of our worries in this township.
She speaks the truth. Contact your reps. Any further discussion?
Motion to close public hearing? So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Public hearing is now closed. I Let's, I think at this time, the developer had brought up the ability to postpone. Developer, is there a date? I don't know if you'd like to come up to the podium real quick. I have one question for you.
I didn't get all that. Chairman, what did you say? Oh.
I asked the developer to come back.
Oh.
Yeah, if you would. I just, are you guys ready to go at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to be date specific. What is the next meeting?
April 9th.
April 9th. I'd like to postpone the public, or not the public hearing, postpone the Groves of Washington rezoning request to the April 9th Planning Commission meeting.
I agree. Motion?
That is a motion.
And a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes to postpone till the April 9th meeting. We look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you all so very much. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, and then we're going to move on to item 7B, Board of Trustees request to the Planning Commission to review ordinances and make recommendations regarding the regulation of data centers and large-scale industrial uses. Just, I'm going to let at this time, for this item, I'm going to go over it with our experts regarding planning, water and sewer, and legal. And then the planning commissioners will hold discussion about things we have concerns about or we would like to see. And then we will open it up for the public to comment. I please ask that you refrain from any conversations or yelling out. Let's be respectful. I will give you your time to speak. Everybody will get their 3 minutes and we'll move forward. But I appreciate your decency with the process, okay? Thank you. We've had somebody removed from previous meetings. I do not want to do that today. If I have to ask you to stop 3 times, I am going to ask you to leave. So I don't want to kick anybody out of here tonight. You don't want to be kicked out of here tonight. You guys have been nothing but respectful. I just assume it will be the same tonight. Please, let's keep it civil. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let's move forward to the request. If you would, Kayla, if you don't mind, would you start us off? Or I'm sorry, did you want to? Okay, Kayla first.
That's okay.
It's fine.
Thank you, Chair. So just to give the public and the commissioners some background, on February 4th, the Washington Township Board of Trustees voted to direct the Planning Commission to review ordinances as they relate to large-scale industrial uses in data centers. So they directed the commission to consider your existing ordinances and assess whether they're adequate. In addition to that, to recommend, if it's necessary, additional amendments to the ordinances to address those data center and industrial uses. That is the agenda item that's before us right now, is really that request from the Board of Trustees. We presented a memo and also several items in your packet as we're having this discussion. I just want to bring to your attention. I have your future land use map from your master plan there for you. That again is not policy, but gives you some guidelines as to what was included in your master plan as far as future development patterns and uses. We also have the current zoning map for you to consider when looking at where different districts are allocated throughout the township currently. And then finally, I've included several pieces of your ordinance, again, that are in this packet for your reference. One is the schedule of permitted and special land uses in each of the commercial and industrial zoning districts that exist on the books today. You also have the dimensional standards for the general industrial district and the IRT, which is the Industrial Research Technology District, in front of you. And then finally, I included the performance standards that are present in the ordinance today. Again, these are kind of the key sections for you to start to look at when you're assessing how large-scale industrial uses are contemplated in the ordinance right now, and maybe where the gaps are, where some ordinance work needs to happen to address any concerns the Planning Commission and the community has as to those deficiencies. So when you're making those considerations, I just want to bring a few things to your consideration. First, thinking about where data centers and large-scale industrial uses fit within the existing use definitions present in the ordinance, and are there definitions that need to be added, modified, changed in any way to address those uses? Second, which zoning districts, if any, allow those uses today? Are they appropriate? Does it match what's in your master plan and the direction of the community? Love hearing my voice echoed back to me, it's great. What existing site standards, so parking, lighting, environmental, and noise, regulate these uses within your zoning ordinance? What do we have on the books that we can use to regulate? What's missing that we need to address and add or even beef up in some way? What existing standards regulate decommissioning post-closure of facilities and enforcement of our applicable standards? How would we enforce if something's not followed from the ordinance or isn't addressed through the site plans? Do the application procedures on file in the zoning ordinance and the application forms require the submission of the right information that you need to be able to adequately review a proposal that comes in for a data center or a large-scale industrial use? And then finally, what other agencies are involved in the review of applications for large-scale industrial uses or data centers? And that's really getting to this question of where does your jurisdiction fall off, and what are the other agencies that'll be involved if an application comes forward? That's, EGLE, it's the Michigan Public Service Commission, it's Macomb County Soil and Erosion Control. Just thinking about what is our lane? What are the things that we can regulate as a township? And where do we have to hand it off to others to do that agency review? So those are some broad questions to kind of get this discussion started. Before we open it up for that, I do just want to run you quickly through the process for ordinance amendments. So the Board of Trustees has already initiated this request by asking the Planning Commission to review the existing ordinances and identify, again, where we need to strengthen those ordinances or make amendments in order to address these uses sufficiently. Once that discussion is had, proposed amendments can be researched and drafted if the Planning Commission determines that they're necessary. When drafted ordinances are presented, a public hearing can be held by the Planning Commission and has to be before adoption can happen. A public hearing is held regarding the proposed amendments and must be noticed accordingly. State code dictates all of those things. And then finally, the Planning Commission, after the public hearing, can make its findings and recommendation back to the Board of Trustees. So the Planning Commission is the recommended body for any of these zoning amendments if they're to occur. And the final authority would be with the Board of Trustees after a recommendation has been made by the Planning Commission. So that's a high-level overview. I'm here, excited to work with you and help you through this process, and happy to answer any questions as you discussed today.
Perfect. Thank you, Kayla. Christine, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just briefly, Mr. Chair.
I think so.
Kayla has outlined the process and the procedure beautifully, but when the Planning Commission is looking at determining what standards will go in the ordinance to address data centers, the audience and the Planning Commission must remember that those standards need to be specific, supportable, and technical, and rationally related to legitimate governmental interests. Two of the big ones that keep coming up are, number one, water. And when you're developing those standards, you're going to look to your experts and your consultants. With water, you're going to look to your township engineer. He is the expert in this room, and I would say in this township, with respect to what standards are necessary for protecting the water supply and the consumption in this township. One of the other things that keeps coming up is noise. There's nobody up here that is an expert on noise. But what we have recommended to the Township Board of Trustees, and I think they'll be considering at their next meeting, is retaining an acoustical engineer who is an expert, a board-certified expert in noise, and will be able to address the commission and let you know exactly what kind of standards and processes do you have in place to deal with the potential noise and vibration issues on adjacent parcels? If the ordinance does not contain supportable standards, it will not be defendable.
Thank you. And then, Mike, if there's anything you'd like to.
Just, I'll kind of pivot off of what they both said, talking about what those standards look like, right? So just like the zoning map that Kayla held up and your future land use map that she held up are unique to this township, your water and sewer system is unique to your township only. We tell people when they come up and talk about water rates and they don't want their bill raised because the neighboring community lowered their rates. We're not in the neighboring community. This is Washington Township. Your system is your system. It's quite unique, right? Water use is going to be more actually regulated on the sewer side than the water side. You have capacity in your water system to supply in excess of 10 million gallons a day of water that GLWA can actually provide to you. You're limited only by the size of the connections and the number of those connections. You can't take that much sewer water in though, right? If it comes in the pipe, it's got to go out somewhere. So we're going to lean on your existing sewer system to be the guiding factor. Where you don't have sewer is going to drive the fact that you don't want a large-scale industrial or data center use. Are we saying data or data? Data? Data. So, you know, it's important that we look at those, and that might be as simple as a baseline standard that says if there's no sewer available, this use doesn't work. That prevents large agricultural use from getting pulled in and sewer being dragged miles and miles away. We have a very limited amount of sewer capacity that we can provide. As we move into saying, okay, it's a use here, it fits here, we can get into actual volume consumption numbers to limit it, right? There are multiple communities, particularly out west, that have had these on the books for over 10 years. The numbers are actually even a little bit higher than what your warehousing anticipated uses in your ordinance. So there's very specific values that we can include in those provisions. None of those exist today. We don't have a maximum use. It's based on units, right? Number of houses, number of square footage. But certainly for a use like this where we know it's an intensive use, we can put that on the books and regulate it. So a lot of different ways we can go at it. Some very easy baseline things that can be included in these provisions, and then we can get more specific as needed.
Sounds great. I appreciate it. Yeah, those are obviously concerns that everybody has with the water, the sewer, the infrastructure, obviously I'm certain the commissioners have spent some time on this, as I know I have, going through concerns you have for the properties. Does anybody want to start off?
No, I didn't wear glasses before the data center was coming. No, I think probably the best place to start, if I'm looking at the way we've outlined this, is to talk about where a data center would fit in the township. You know, what zoning classification it would go under.
If I may, the first question is whether or not,
Okay.
the first question is whether or not your existing ordinance provisions adequately define and address data centers as a use.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to start. If
And
the
I
ordinance
think-
already addresses it and defines it, you're good to go.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then we go on to step two.
Yeah, I think obviously we wouldn't be here today if it did. I think at this point, I would go out on a limb that it's not defined. I mean, everybody can make their argument for whether it's a warehousing or I mean, to me, it's a little more intense than your distribution center. You know, the fans on top of these things, the generators, no matter how they sustain what they're doing, there's impact. And obviously the sound is going to be key. Well, I think to put it in an area yet without the experts weighing in might be a little premature. I'd like to hear what the acoustical engineer has to say. I believe it should go heavy industrial. That'd be my first thought, but that's, you know, I want to hear what these experts have to say and go from there. We have land that is heavy industrial. We have a special land use criteria for buildings over 60,000 square feet. So no matter what we decide tonight, I mean, that's already there. The 60,000 square foot's already, I believe it's 60, right? Or is it 50? 60? 60,000 square feet they have to go for a special land use. So there's criteria they would have to meet for that. So I think the special land use, no matter what we do, if it's going hyperscale over 60,000, the special land use requirement's already there. So I think we leave that as is.
Agreed. Well, I don't have any issues with it always, with it being a special land use for whatever type data center. We can plug that into whatever ordinance we want.
True.
With regards to where, though, my concern is that we go a little too narrow. And I like the idea of, if they're going to build a large data center, obviously heavy industrial. But data centers can be as small as a closet or as large as Celine. That's one of the issues that we have to grapple with. Are we being too restrictive in saying that it only fits in this type of zoning for all size data centers? That would be my concern.
Can we split the zoning on that to, if it's under 60,000 or under, it go into a different criteria, or is that?
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways to do it, and I would definitely recommend breaking them out in that way, because there are data centers that have existed in Michigan for a really long time with very little impact, but those are small. It's not the hyperscale, so there is a difference. We would typically measure that, yes, based on building square footage, but also on output of the facility. So when we're talking about definitions, those are two of the things that we'd be looking at to break down those categories. And we could certainly start to break that up and define it before talking about which zoning districts kind of fit which scale.
As for other experts, I know there's a lot of things that could come down. I know we talked, I've thought about, like, there's a lot of codes out there right now. The Michigan Building Code just changed to the 2021. The state's already looking to adopt the 2024, which allows for, it goes over battery storage and a lot of other things that are not covered in the 21. Fire code is exactly the same. Township could look into working with their fire marshal's office to update the fire codes to adopt some of those standards beyond the 2021, because the fire code is adopted by local and not by the state. The state mandates what building code we go to. The local jurisdiction has the right to update their codes when it comes to property maintenance and fire. So that might be something to work with our fire chief and see if that's something that he feels is appropriate. That could help with some of the regulation on the construction, but that's a different animal. Either way, any further? Anything further you'd like to discuss?
The only question I had on the differing zoning districts for the uses. Currently, we're at 60,000 square foot and over is automatically a special land use by our ordinance. Can we put data centers into a category where that development is a special land use regardless of size? Because that would allow us to have more control over whatever size development they come forward with.
We have that now? And some of our,
just want to make sure.
Some of our uses are special land use. Just trying to think, you get into, was it page 15?
So within the zoning district, there's a list of permitted uses, a list of special land uses, and a list of prohibited land uses. Essentially, if it's not defined in that zoning district, it's treated as prohibited. So yes, it would be, possibly appropriate for the Planning Commission to decide that data centers, regardless of scale, should be a special land use. And really what you would be looking at is, does this use have an impact that we need to be able to mitigate in some way that we can't do through, use standards or as a permitted use, so that you have that flexibility.
With regard to smaller uses, because they're out there, like you said, and they've had little impact. If they're accessory to the main use of the building, that's not what we're talking about here, right? So if a big computer company moved in and they had an accessory building in the back that's associated with their own use, would that be considered would that be covered under something that would be considered special land use?
So if we ended up with like a co-located data center inside another commercial facility,
Sure.
that's the type of thing you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, they have them.
Yeah.
It's just, you find a mixed-use building that has data center within. I mean, do we go with the highest, most intense use of the building when it's planned? Because I could see a company coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to put a shop in the front and the back 3/4 is going to be a data center.
You don't go with the highest and best use, you go with all the uses.
Okay, combined.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's a
Go with
special
all the
land
uses.
use, it's a special land use regardless
All
of
right.
it being an accessory or not.
Okay.
So in that situation, would they have a permitted use and a special land use submitted?
Yeah,
Okay.
this actually, if you think back to the Sheena's Fuel Center that you guys processed recently, that was a case where you had both a permitted use and a special land use on the
True.
same site.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like the idea of keeping in that special land use category because it gives us the option to condition the development more than if it were just a permitted use at a particular size.
And you've got to have a reason for doing it. And you got to remember that data centers they're a land use. We can't just exclude them because people don't want them. So if you're going to make it a special land use across the board, we've got to have reasons for it and to identify what adverse effects we are trying to protect people from,
We will
even
get-
if it's a small one. And that's
Appreciate it.
it's a work in progress, and we just take it one step at a time.
So that's when we get into the technicalities of the water, the sewer, the sound.
The fire, absolutely, yep.
So those are things that this commission honestly would need the experts to weigh in on a
Yes.
lot of it.
Yes, because the experts will give you the basis upon which to make an informed decision and to put in quantifiable standards that we can defend.
Yeah, I just, it's one of those things where the state and the federal government's really not helping us out.
No.
We're on our own island here. State government has made your building codes to the point where they want everything so tight when you build a house, and then they came out with their latest version of the energy code, and they added something that wasn't in the international code, that data centers are exempt from your energy code. So, here we are. That's state law. That building code, that energy code is state law, so we have to follow that. So they are exempt from that criteria. So that's a problem. That's your state and federal government throwing us under the bus, and here we are again. It's just unfortunate. Obviously, we're, a big concern is the energy. I don't know where we go with that, because relying on, again, the state of Michigan, which unfortunately, I have no faith in the state public commission doing the right thing when it comes to energy, as they raise your energy costs again. I don't know where we go for electric analysis.
We don't.
We don't. Again, it's just.
If we can require that an applicant come in and say, provide something in writing from DTE saying clearly and explicitly that there is enough energy available.
Yeah.
That's as far as you can go. The rates, everything else is all taken care of by the MPSC. That is not the township's jurisdiction.
And that's,
That is
again,
not
where
something you can control.
You need to get with your legislators about that as well, but that's a whole other animal. But,
And if that changes, we'll let you know.
yeah, absolutely.
Things can change, and if that changes, we'll be the first ones to let you know, and let you know that, yep, you can jump into this tar pit.
Yeah.
While we're on the energy piece, related but not, this does not address your question, Chair. But one thing that we're seeing coming up with data centers is also the co-location of battery energy systems, BESS systems. We've scanned your ordinance. We realize you don't have a BESS ordinance at the moment. The state does have some legislation that sets like minimum parameters. But if we're looking at these ordinances, I would recommend that we also develop something for battery energy storage simultaneously, just knowing that those uses are being co-located.
Yeah, and that battery energy storage is kind of where I was going with the fire code. The fire code, and obviously, I'm sure zoning-wise, we'll have to come up with something as well, but the fire code is, the 2024 fire code would be the way to go with that. I know Sterling has a new ordinance they adopted. I'm not sure where they're at in their process. If it's fully been adopted.
I
But
can find out.
we need to look into that, and then tweak it to fit Washington Township. But essentially, the battery storage is a big thing too, and that's, I mean, not even just for data centers, that's across the board. That's a new technology, our firefighters, I'm sure that's a very big concern of our firefighters, because, I mean, you've heard about what's happening with these electric vehicles that catch fire on the side of the road, and frankly, you can't stop the fire, so, not without significant work. That said, were you guys, any further discussion from you
You guys
guys?
have covered pretty good.
Well, we got a lot of information that we've stacked up that we've got to go through and we've got to get.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if the process moving forward, if we want to talk about workshopping it into specific elements to make it a little easier to focus, or we handle it as it comes.
I'd like to see what the board does with this. I think the township board meeting there, it's on the agenda for the next meeting? For
It's
the
my understanding it is
acoustical?
on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to see where the board goes with that, with hiring somebody. I'd like to try to get some kind of fire consultant on board if we don't have one already, with regard to these, the noise, the fire. We have a water and sewer expert. He's done a heck of a job, and what other things are we really, what do we need to work on? Obviously, pollution, air quality, ground quality. These are things that they would have to come through with on a development impact statement and need to be reviewed.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, you do not currently have a submission for a data center before you?
Correct.
Okay. So there is no absolute emergency to get this done by next month.
No.
By the same token, I strongly recommend you move forward swiftly.
Yes.
Don't let it sit, don't just discuss it for 6 or 7 months. Keep moving forward, make substantial progress, a little bit at a time, but slow enough to get it right. You know, after you hear from the public, I would recommend that you guys give your consultant some homework.
Okay.
I mean, Mike's already talked about some of the standards. Direct him to bring some stuff back to you.
Yeah.
Kayla's already jumped on it. You know, ask her to bring some standards back to you so you can start looking at them. I'll be happy to follow up on the acoustical engineer. If the board retains one, I'll get with him, find out if he's got some initial documentation he can bring forward to you, and schedule a time for him to come before the planning commission and talk to you directly.
Are there any, I don't know if they're out there, are there any experts on data center development that could weigh in on this? I mean, obviously, I don't want to invite them into the room to make it easier for them to do what they're choosing to do, but I mean, somebody consultant-wise that has dealt with these developments. I know Michigan doesn't have a lot of them.
No, but anybody is certainly willing to come forward and talk at any meeting. But at this point, I would deal with it one issue at a time.
Okay.
Because at its core, it's a land use, period.
And if there's anybody we need, you know, just request it from the board. We'll find you an expert, you know, that will slot in for whatever thing that we need to talk about. We are in the process of hiring the acoustical engineer. I know that that's something that we reached out for, and I believe we've narrowed it down to a candidate. I'm not sure yet, but it's close. So we should have that in place by the next board meeting. So he'll be available to consult with the PC.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where, I mean, I could go on all night. I've read through so much of this stuff. I've read Duke University, University of Michigan. Every major university has reports on this. And it's just, obviously, we need to regulate it. We need to regulate it strong. Obviously, we have to have a fair ordinance to the point where it can't restrict it to not existing. We have to give it a spot to be. Again, I still like in the heavy industrial area. I think it's the right spot, but that's my personal opinion. I think at this time, we probably open it to the public comment, hear what the public has to say about it. Digest it.
I'm curious about something, if I may. Is there it seems to me, in reading all of this information, that's exactly what it is. And sometimes you can have a little bit too much and not really, you go that way, that way, that way. Okay.
Information over.
Is there anybody that we could hire that would give us a honest answer to questions that I would have, and I'm sure others here, so we could direct ourselves to do a better job for the public? I'm still not quite clear in one respect. If you read, and again, I'm not talking down to anybody, but help me. It is my understanding in reading about the AI and all the rest of this, that we are in a race with two other countries, particularly China and Russia, to develop this. And to do that, obviously, you have to have something to develop it. I mean, you have to have the energy and so forth. But my question would be to them, or whomever the expert is what is, how do we put it, what is the absolute bottom line on understanding where we're going with AI? If I understand from what I've been reading, and maybe I'm wrong, the federal government wants this done, period, because of national security. No matter what we do, it's to protect our interests, our property interests, and our energy interests. But in the end, the federal government trumps us, no matter what. And right now, they're saying, we need this, we want this. So how do we skirt around? I don't have enough, I'll be honest with you, I have knowledge, but nothing like I'd like to have by someone who maybe knows this well enough to explain certain direct questions.
First and foremost, that is a valid concern and something to think about, but it is beyond the scope of this commission.
Yeah.
The way you guys are looking at this is simply a land use.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah.
And you have any questions on that? You got Kayla right here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that.
Well, I don't mean to be,
Kayla.
No.
I'm just saying the way,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, it would be easy to just say, no data centers and
Yeah.
go home. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen.
I'm sure you would all like that. The problem is, the lawyers would be here tomorrow and with the lawsuits and so we can't do that. But what we can do is we can put in place some common sense regulations.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't want to make it, we don't want to make it so that it's so restrictive that they have a cause of action against the township.
Yeah.
But we don't want to make it so lenient that it's something that they're going to build 20 of next week either.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are a lot of moving pieces in this. I know you guys have been doing your homework. I mean, everything from the electrical to the water to the noise to the EMF radio. I mean, I could go on for about a half hour, but you guys wrote the book. We're gonna take some time with this. We are going to bring in some experts. As Barry just said, I think we're going to listen to you guys too. So you got an opportunity now to tell us what your thoughts are with regards to these ordinance changes, and we'd be happy to hear you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, if you would, anybody, I don't know, did we do numbers today or no? Okay, well, no numbers, so you guys.
Let's start with the well-dressed people in the front.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of, if you don't mind, line up down the side of that table over on the left as you would. If you see the line getting short, that'd be your time, so you don't have to stand there forever.
Without the shirt on as attorney.
So, I appreciate you coming tonight. Name and address for the record, sir.
Good evening. I'm Representative Josh Shriver, and I have to go quick now. I'm here tonight as both your state representative and as someone who cares deeply about the long-term health, safety, and planning integrity of our communities. Across Michigan and across America, local communities that have approved hyperscale data centers are now dealing with impacts they did not fully anticipate.
Yep.
Enormous electricity demand, strain on water resources, constant generator noise, industrial lighting at night, and long-term pressure on local infrastructure. These are not theoretical concerns. They are issues communities are actively confronting right now. Over the past several months, I've heard from many residents in this area who are deeply concerned about what this type of development could mean for Washington Township. Concerns about protecting the rural character of this community, protecting home values, and protecting the reliability of Michigan's electricity grid and water resources. Residents are concerned not only about the amount of water data centers can use, but also about the chemicals that are added to the water and what happens to it when it is discharged. More than 1,000 residents live within 1 mile of the proposed site. There are families who live there, raise their children here, and build their lives here. They are the people I represent. That's why one statement in the developer's materials stands out to many residents, including myself. In the application, the site was described as being essentially free from surrounding residences. Anyone who drives up 33 Mile or down to 31 Mile and around that property knows that is simply not true. Homes, businesses, neighborhoods, and families already live nearby. So the obvious question is, why would the application characterize the area so wrongly? That is exactly why this planning process matters. I do want to acknowledge the Planning Commission for beginning the process of developing zoning ordinances related to data centers and other high-energy infrastructure. Communities across Michigan are realizing that hyperscale data centers are not typical industrial uses. They operate 24 hours a day and draw levels of electricity and water that most local governments have never had to regulate before. This is new territory for communities across the country, and because of that, it is essential that the township surround itself with the right expertise. Not only experts in energy, water, or noise, but professionals who understand how modern data centers are actually designed, built, and operated. Writing effective ordinances requires understanding how these facilities truly function. At the state level, I co-sponsored legislation proposing a temporary moratorium, a statewide pause on new data center approvals so communities could take the time to fully understand these impacts and establish appropriate standards. Whether or not this legislation ultimately advances in our highly political climate, the principle remains simple. Major infrastructure projects should never move faster than the rules designed to govern them. Please, may I have 30 more seconds?
They clapped a lot.
Thank you. And thank you.
No problem.
I understand the applicant has now requested additional time so the township can complete its ordinance work before the proposal proceeds. That gives Washington Township an opportunity to do this work carefully and deliberately. I also want to recognize the residents who have been engaged in this process. When citizens show up, study an issue, and bring forward ideas, that is something that you cannot dismiss. It is exactly how responsible planning works. I understand residents and local experts have submitted ordinance concepts for your consideration, and I encourage the township to review those ideas alongside best practices from other communities. 2 more sentences, please.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you. In conclusion, my hope is that Washington Township takes the time necessary to establish clear, thoughtful standards before any permanent zoning decisions are made. Doing so protects residents, provides clarity for applicants, and ensures that whatever development occurs fits the long-term interests and good character of this community. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Hey, Mr. Shriver, thank you for coming in tonight. If you would, when you go back to Lansing, get all your buddies on board to oppose that House bill about cutting down our planning. If you would, audience, I know this meeting's going to go long. I want to hear from each and every one of you. The longer we clap, the longer this goes. And I know a lot of us are on the same side of this. And I would just appreciate if we keep that down to a minimum if possible. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Sean Weber. I live at 75508 Romeo Plank Road in Armada. I need to address the board directly, but for the benefit of everyone here tonight, please be nice to Barry and treat these commissioners with civility. In the last 3 months, the data center issue has risen from a local issue all the way up to the state and national level. And I want to say with high confidence, this data center was not Mr. Miller's idea. We now know that a modern data center proposal isn't just about electricity or water usage anymore. We have factor in on-site power generation, lithium fields of battery energy storage systems, or BESS, as Kayla referred to, In small modular reactors, or nuclear SMRs, potentially sited right here within our township borders. High energy intensive developments are not yesterday's small business computer closets or a cute little light distribution warehouse. The development of AI may very well consume more resources than any other advancement of the 21st century. These are heavy-duty industrial operations, and it is up to us as the people to rise to that challenge and make sure we decide what gets built here and not them. I'm proud to stand alongside Corinne, John, Chris, and others who have been working to bring forward an ordinance proposal that will be completed soon. That's all I have tonight. I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the committee and the community. My name is John Tarlow. I live near Reed and Romeo Plank Road in Armada Township. The residents and community appreciates the decision to review the township's ordinance. As you should be aware, we stand at a crucial juncture for Washington Township and surrounding communities. The rapid rise of high energy intensive developments, or HIDEs, specifically hyperscale data centers, presents a unique challenge. These are not traditional businesses. They are industrial operations that consume resources at scales comparable to small cities. Historically, they generate a multitude of risks, yet often bring no real benefits to the community. The township is making the right choice to review its ordinances now to address these new risks and challenges. In support of the board and the ordinance effort, the residents community strongly urges the township representatives to minimally consider these non-exhaustive recommendations when reviewing and drafting ordinances. You must protect our infrastructure. Under this category, we recommend considering items such as energy use caps, grid capacity limits, developer-funded utility upgrades, disposal, and performance bonds to ensure our community isn't left to bear the financial impacts associated with these facilities. You must ensure economic reciprocity. This category should include job creation requirements, local hiring practices, employment verification processes, and financial consequences for failing to meet these targets. This ensures that our growth translates into real opportunities for the community. Prioritizing environmental and residential quality items falling under this umbrella include noise limits for both high and low frequencies, light pollution controls, water conservation requirements, heat island mitigation measures, and evaluation of clean on-site power generation technologies. Finally, implementing robust legal and financial safeguards. This encompasses supply chain risk management plans, decommissioning bonds, site restoration guarantees, waste management requirements, and transparencies in measures like public registries and regular reporting. In conclusion, these recommendations provide Washington Township with practical tools to manage this new reality. They balance the potential for economic growth and the fundamental duty to protect its residents, homes, our environment, and our fiscal stability. I urge the board to consider these principles as we move forward. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Corinne Graper. I live at 66874 Dorothy Trail, Washington Township. Thank you, Planning Commission. I wanted to talk a little bit today about how hyperscale data centers are not typical industrial uses, and the ordinances must reflect that reality. One of the interesting things you see across the country, developers have successfully tried to classify data centers as warehouses. They are not. Office uses, and even banks. There is one developer, they're banking data. They got it classified as a bank to fit into zoning categories that they were never designed for. That is why it's critical that Washington Township clearly defines these facilities for what they are: extreme water and energy intensive infrastructure that operates 24 hours a day. They must be written clearly enough that these facilities cannot be reclassified as something else later on. It's also important that the ordinances are written based on the real conditions surrounding this site. As Josh stated in the initial application, the developer suggested the area was essentially free from nearby residences, when we know there are more than 1,000 people that live within a mile from there, and there's a whole row of businesses right across 32 Mile where people go to work every single day and have to be across from the noise and the vibrations and working every day. Imagine trying to run a business or living in a home next to this. And there's schools nearby as well, and the impacts of the noise can radiate for miles. Another important point is that technology in this industry is evolving rapidly. As server efficiency improves, data centers are able to process more computing power with the same footprint. That means the intensity of these facilities can increase over time, even though the building itself does not change. Ordinance must account for the future and not just the equipment being installed today. Finally, you should be thinking about the direction this industry is heading. Many hyperscale data centers are now exploring on-site power generation. In fact, the president even stated that in his State of the Address. On-site power generation when the electric grid cannot supply enough power right now, right? DTE has problems with energy reliability. How are we going to trust that they can add this in? When the grid can't give enough power, we see other data centers fire up large banks of diesel generators, putting out constant air pollution, and we now see data center developers discussing small modular nuclear reactors. Is anybody a nuclear energy expert on this planning commission? I don't think so, right? So we need to think every, John, maybe you are. Those ideas may sound extreme today, but they are already being discussed across the data center industry. So our ordinances need to discuss this. We need experts on energy, water, noise, lighting, and equipment. And when I talk about water, I know we have a water and sewer expert, but we also need to understand the discharge, the glycols, the PFAS that are put into the water. This is not your run-of-the-mill business, right? And so we need it there as well. And John Chaplin, since you're on both the planning and the Board of Trustees, I ask you, would you take to the Board of Trustees a request to get water, energy, and a data center expert who understands these operations?
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Laura Gutnick. I live at 75088 Peters Drive, Bruce Township. Our community works because homes, farms, small businesses, and light industry exist side by side. Thoughtful planning is what protects the balance, and that's why I'm here tonight. I support responsible development that fits our community, not just in Washington Township, but in our surrounding area as well. Large industrial facilities and data centers operate very differently from research labs or light industrial businesses. They require extremely high electrical use, large cooling systems, large numbers of backup generators, and those things can affect nearby homes, farms, and small businesses. Because of that, I asked the township to create clear definitions in the ordinances. A research center should mean a facility primarily used for laboratory research, development, testing, prototype, manufacturing that employs professional people on site. Data center could be defined as the facility used primarily for electronic data storage or computing operations. Data centers should not be classified as research, office, or light industrial uses and should only be allowed in heavy industrial zoning districts. As well, for any future large industrial project, I ask the township to require a complete build-out plan before any construction begins. A site plan showing all buildings, substation generators, cooling systems, and infrastructure. Developers should also submit permit plans for waste management, chemical handling, environmental protections, along with baseline testing for air, groundwater, and emissions that is certified by a third-party test before the construction begins. If data centers are allowed in the future, generator testing should be limited to 1 hour per month for testing, except during emergencies. They should not be allowed to store or sell energy. Noise levels at the property line should be limited to 55 decibels during the day and 45 decibels at night, consistent with other industrial limits already within the township, like the windmills. Facilities should be required to use the best available noise reduction and emission controls, acoustic generator enclosures, sound barriers, equipment that meets the current EPA Tier 4 emission standards or better. Large industrial facilities should require independent testing conducted during construction and after completion, paid for by the facility. Violations should carry meaningful penalties for for these large industrial projects, all industrial projects, not just data centers. $1,000 per violation per day, and large projects should provide escrow funds so enforcement can actually happen. These rules protect residents, protect well water, ensure new development does not harm existing farms, homes, or small businesses. Good ordinances protect businesses and property owners who already invested in this community, and good ordinances don't stop development, they make sure new development fits our community instead of changing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Reno, and I am a resident of Bruce Township. And I have come before the regular committee and talked against the data centers in the past. I'm going to focus on one part of this. So basically my understanding of this is you have a rich company that's in Colorado, and they're going around the country because all these communities are not catching up with this technology. So they don't have an ordinance that addresses a data center because it's brand new technology. So they are attacking communities in Michigan. You know, you can look at, the governor of the state cozied up to this company, whatever. But the thing is that they are attacking these communities, and they're saying, if you don't let us come in here, then what we're going to do is we're going to bully you and you're going to sue you. And then communities have caved for that. So my question is this. I know that you said this is not a question and answer portion, okay? I've come to these meetings and this is not on the agenda, so you're not allowed to ask questions. And the attorneys have said, you know what? You can't give them any ammunition to sue us, so you can't answer any questions. How is the public supposed to ask a question? Because the planning, the master plan is your purview, correct? You guys oversee that. So the story I heard was that the master plan was open, and that gave them an opportunity to come here, and if somebody did not do the right thing that night, this could have been one meeting over and done, voted on and done. Is that correct?
No.
So dispel the myth then. Did somebody from this township ask to open the master plan prior to them coming here with an application from this company?
I mean, the master plan was recently opened.
By who and why?
It's done how many years, Dana?
Every 5 years, it has to be looked at by statute.
Okay, so that was a statutory thing that was not anybody on this board that said, hey, I got a thing and I need a thing.
Nobody on this board has asked to open a master plan.
No. Are you talking about when we redid the master plan last?
The last master plan meeting we had, they're talking about the IRT.
Right. Let me, if I can address this from the board standpoint.
So can I refresh your memory that the supervisor asked for it to be open in September?
No, let me tell you where we're at on the whole master plan thing, just so you understand. The area we're talking about was included in the last master plan. There was some discussion with the board back in September about not being happy with the zoning out there. They wanted to look at the future land use map again. So that was, the board made a request.
Not the master plan, the future land use plan.
Well, the future land use map.
Which is included in the master.
Which is included in the master plan, that we wanted to relook at that to see what would be a better solution for that area. And that's when the planning commission made a recommendation to the board. There were 3 recommendations, if you remember, or 3 options that we had.
Okay.
So those were given back to the board. In the interim, but we found out, I think that's, before we acted on that there was the idea that this company wanted to come in and do a large-scale industrial development.
So it never got approved.
Well, we felt it would probably not be in the best interest of the township to rezone all that or to reset all that as an industrial use, being that this company wanted to come in and put a data center. So we set that aside. We don't have to act on that. There's no requirement that the township has to update its future land use map at any time. Had we done that, it probably would have given the company an easier route in order to build an industrial center out there. So I think our thinking at the time was it's better to leave the future land use map as is and work with what we have rather than make it easier for them to come in and put in a data center.
Okay, well, the honest thing that I'm telling you is there's a perception in the community that somebody tried to backdoor this community.
and somebody opened it and allowed them to come in, and I wasn't at these meetings. Listen, I didn't have a dog in the fight until I realized I'm within the zone, right? I don't live in Washington Township.
Look, I understand this isn't a Q&A session, but no, nobody tried to backdoor this in. Everything that the township has, you guys have. All the information on this has been made public. There's nothing that you don't know that we know, or that we know that you don't know. So all that's been made public. It is coincidental. We were developing that area for industrial uses. It's something the township needs. You know, it's not something that everybody wants to talk about. Well, when you look at the tax base in Washington Township, we are primarily a residential community. We do need to develop commercial and industrial tax bases, and that was one of the areas we were looking at. Now, it just so happened that as we did that, this company that wanted to do a logistics center came back some months later and said, hey, let's talk about a data center. And they threw that proposal into our lap in the middle of all this. So we decided it would be better not to make any changes at that point until this issue was settled.
Okay, so having the master plan open or not open, does that give a company an advantage or a disadvantage? I'm not understanding.
I'm going to kind of cut this
Okay,
off.
okay.
This is so far off base. And I want
Fair
you to-
enough.
If you have those questions,
But that's the problem. No one answers them.
Wait. But if you'll let me finish, I would like you to contact either the township supervisor or the planner and have a conversation with them. If you want those answers, that's where you get them. This is not, I don't write the rules.
So I'm supposed to ask him if he
Sure.
did anything inappropriate?
Well, I
Okay.
can't answer that.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
I'm not him.
Just a very short comment to what you said about them suing. It's just like when they said, hey, there's 2 weeks, we got 2 weeks for COVID, right? Guess what? COVID is here.
Okay, let's move along. Thank
Okay,
you.
I would spend the money in advance rather than get sued later.
I totally understand. That's why we're here.
I'm Paul Semchek. I live at 60060 Kittle Road in Washington Township. I was not prepared for any of this. I wasn't prepared to speak. I didn't know what this was. I was just told about it by a neighbor. So I'll keep it short and sweet. I agree with everything everybody's been saying. I just wanted to go on record saying I'm a hard no on the data center. And one of my concerns is I have a artesian well that trickles, and I can just see something happening. Somebody digs too deep, somebody does something, all of a sudden my well stops working, and they say, and all I'm going to be told by the city or by that company is, it happens, wells go dry. And so I'm a hard no, but I agree with our representative 100% with what he said. I'm an engineer by trade. I didn't do any research because I didn't know what to research. I will now. And I would expect that once this company comes back with all their data, is that made public knowledge?
Yes.
So we can get all the data we want that they have, and we can, as I can tell you right now, I work for Mr. Ford. I could take the worst data in the world and make it look rosy and make him smile. So just because they say it's good doesn't make it good. So, but thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Sam Avramov. I live 2 miles from the thing on Romeo Plank Road. I'm not at Washington. I'm the other way. But it's still going to affect my life. Last week I came to gather information. I didn't understand if this was just simple AI or what it was, and then I learned from this young lady, it's for surveillance. It's Palantir going to take it over. My jaw about fell off my face. I follow Palantir and its founder, Peter Thiel. If you're not familiar with him, go on YouTube, look him up, and listen to him. He'll tell you what he's going to do with it. Here's a quote from him. Peace and safety requires total surveillance. You are who he's going to surveil. He's going to be doing anything you hit a keyboard, any transaction, you name it, that's the purpose. Peter Thiel also knows in these interviews that this system can become dangerous. He's also said he knows it can become a tool to destroy democracy. Giving that kind of control to anybody is crazy. I'm not here against any of you, but this is the guy who it's going to in the end. And you told me Palantir, right? So I know who he is. I follow this guy because you just have to follow him to know he's into everything. He's also got the CIA wanting this because then they can look into all of you. It used to be Before the Patriot Act, they can only go to other countries and do things. Patriot Act let them look at you. And now with that, they can come and look at any of us and do crazy crap that way. I hope not. I'm an American. They are. I'd hope they'd be better than that, but I don't trust them. If you want to listen to Peter Thiel, try to get a hold of his 4 Antichrist speeches and see what he sees as the Antichrist. He also invested in a guy named Curtis Yarvin. It's called Praxis. There are 151,000 people online already, community. They want to move it. They're looking to buy a piece of Greenland. They want to move it off-site and make their control center there. And guess why? They won't be under American regulations or controls. I don't find any of this a good thing. So I'm hoping that you guys, versus just all the physical things, look at the bigger picture of what they want to do with this once they have the whole system connected. So please, look up Peter Thiel, Thiel, and start listening to him, and you'll know exactly what he wants to do. And thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jenna Poland. I'm over at 26 and Jewel. Thank you all so much for opening this conversation and being so thorough with all of the details. I know it's a lot. I have just questions. I know it's not a Q&A, but more so questions for food for thought. So since we were looking at potential specialist hiring, I was hoping we could also look at a wildlife specialist, the impact on farm and animal migration and mating, how that's going to affect migration between butterflies and pollinators to birds, geese, all of our natural environment that is so endearing about this land. Stony Creek is beautiful, and so many people travel everywhere to come here to our beautiful land. So I want to make sure that any decisions we do make are going to beef that up, make it something that is beautiful, that people still want to keep coming to. That is our bread and butter. That's how we make our living, right? By supporting what we currently have. So also, I wanted to mention violation fines, and also if there are violations, is it a forced shutdown, or is it just a fine, slap on the wrist, keep going? That's something we can maybe articulate a little bit more. Also, this land is not purchased yet. It is still within our township ownership. So the proposition I have is, could we develop it into something like an interactive exploration center or an interactive art museum? We have so many creatives in our community, and bringing in new business is a good thing, but also something that our children and our community members can actually interact with and partake in. I don't know if that's relevant to this conversation, but if the land is up for debate, potentially we could look at other options to use that land for something that would actually benefit the people, the citizens, and the children that are growing up in this area. So thank you so much again.
Just an FYI, the township does not own this property. It is privately owned. So we don't have that ability to move forward with our own plan. So, FYI. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Valentino Galafati, and I represent Client Advocate Rights LLC. I just wanted to address the rezoning for special land use that you were discussing earlier. And
we're talking about data centers now. We can't move back to the public hearing. The public hearing is closed on that.
Well, no, I'm not discussing the Washington
Groves?
That's not what I'm discussing. I'm discussing about the rezoning that the parcels requested for the data center.
Oh, my fault.
That has been moved to June.
So
we're not discussing that tonight.
We're talking about
So we can't discuss that now.
No.
We're talking about the ordinance development.
Okay. Another question that I have is, why are we saying data center when the verbiage is technical campus
Is what?
on all the documents pertaining to the city or the township?
We're not talking about that development. We're talking about an ordinance about data centers.
Specifically ordinances, okay. Well, I do want to state that the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, a township's authority to adopt or amend zoning classifications, including rezoning property for uses such as a data center, derives from the municipality's police power to protect public health, safety, and general welfare. But that authority is not unlimited. Courts have held that zoning actions must bear a real and substantial relationship to those legitimate public purposes. and rezoning decision that is arbitrary, capricious, inconsistent with planning principles, or primarily designed to benefit a private developer rather than the public. So essentially, they did not want to pass a moratorium. For what reason? There's been 19 communities in Michigan that have passed them to debate this whole situation. It seems as if you guys are afraid to take on the legal burden, and you guys don't want to spend the funding on a case.
At the moment, the Township Planning Commission is addressing all those concerns by looking at appropriate provisions for zoning ordinance amendments. There is no need for a moratorium. The Township Planning Commission is already moving forward to address data centers as a legitimate land use.
Right, but one of the issues here is constitutional violations. For example, the Michigan Environmental Protection Act. Under the Michigan Environmental Protection Act, MCL 324.1701, any person may bring an action to prevent conduct that is likely to cause pollution, impairment, or destruction of the air, water, or natural resources of the state before harm occurs. So you guys are trying to avoid legal issues pertaining to a moratorium when we can bring legal issues to the township.
Your time is up, sir. Thank you for your comments.
Hi, my name's Tony Maurer. I live at 5035 Campus Hill Drive over in Okemos. I am here because I would really like to focus in on the energy piece. I know that you said that we are not allowed to look at the Public Service Commission, which is unfortunate because I don't believe that the Public Service Commission works for us. They very clearly work for two utility monopolies. Looking at the utility that services us, DTE, they right now, they service on average about 7 gigawatts of energy. Their peak energy demand goes all the way up to about 9.5. They have a current maximum demand, maximum capacity right around 11. So there is a little bit of build out. One of the things that I'd like to bring to the Planning Commission's attention, there is 7 gigawatts of energy posed to be drained from DTE by these data center companies. So while any one of these individual data centers might not go over that cap, when we look at the whole of the data center development, it is going to put an immense strain on the grid. And I think that is one of the things that we need to be most fearful of, because when you do have a public service commission, that when, for instance, we look at the data center contract in Saline, where they approve it ex parte without hearing any opposition, and the only people that they did hear out was DTE. When they go to a DTE center, they listen to a presentation, and over 30 of those Public Service Commission employees signed non-disclosure agreements with DTE in order to view unredacted versions of the contract. I think that is incredible. I think it definitely raises some serious red flags as to if that commission is going to protect the ratepayers of this state, which is everybody in this room. And I think the best plan of action that we can have moving forward is to put an airtight ordinance in here. And then also, we do have to thank Representative Josh Shriver for his leadership in pushing for a one-year moratorium statewide. I do work for Tom Leonard. He's a candidate for governor, and he was the one that worked with State Representative Jen Wertz to introduce that legislation. I do have a petition here to encourage all of the state representatives and state senators in this state to sign or to co-sponsor that, to pass that when it comes up for a vote. So if you are interested in signing it, I'll be in the back. I'll be more than happy to give you one of these. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Vinay. I live at 71705 Hidden River Drive. Thank you to the board for answering our questions tonight. In February of this year, Google was forced by courts in Virginia to reveal its own internal water usage estimates to the Bodecourt County Data Center, a 300-acre plot similar in size to ours. 200 million gallons per day to start, 8 million gallons over time. For visualization, on M53, the 24-mile reserve tank is 3.5 million gallons. In the Michigan House oversight testimonies about data centers this year and hyperscalers, closed-loop systems were discussed, and the term is a misnomer. There are two loops. Only one is closed. From the testimony and other sources, an estimated 60% of water drawn for closed loops will be lost through evaporation. If this water is drawn, 60% is lost and scaled over time. This is not water returning to our water table. Bodacord is not a closed-loop system, but we only know Google's usage because they were forced to disclose it. And this shows that these data centers are expected to grow over time. That is why they are called hyperscalers. They will grow by sometimes hundreds of % of usage. Are we going to manage in our plans the intended growth of water usage and energy usage? And the remaining 40% of water that is waste often contains chemical agents such as descalers that are then returned to our water treatment facilities, which apparently are limited. What will they do to handle this excess water as it grows? Their own filtration systems need to be built, perhaps? Those ordinances should be looked at. And concerns don't stop as water. As use grows, so does energy consumption. These buildings are built with advertised backup generators, but from the testimonies and other reports, the generators run nearly all the time to supplement their incredible energy demand and growth. Despite claims about our utilities from the House testimonies, it has yet to happen, quote, it has yet to happen that a hyperscaler did not increase energy rates for the public. If this data center does not raise our rates, we would be the first. Data centers are not quiet, and the constant running of these generators add to that noise. Noise from the generators can reach 90 decibels, and the constant 24/7 volume is known to be damaging to the health and wellness of people and animals in the vicinity. I would urge you to consider the growth of water usage, the growth of energy usage, the growth of pollution that the generators might, and to introduce ordinance that would prevent the use of generators and and require the data center to introduce its own water treatment if ours cannot supplement it.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening. My name is Bobby, and I own a home on Tilson and Romeo. I only have 3 minutes, so I'm going to cover a lot, and I apologize for how aggressive this will feel as I jump around on topics. On March 1st, 2026, 10 days ago, Iranian drones hit 3 Amazon data centers in the UAE and Bahrain. Not military databases, not weapons depots, they struck data centers, the kinds of buildings that run your banking apps, your rideshare apps, and your medical platforms. Kareem, which is owned by Uber, went down. Financial systems across the Gulf went dark, and AWS told its customers to move their data somewhere else immediately because the situation was, and I quote, unpredictable. Obviously, with Palantir potentially being part of this, I find this incredibly concerning. And all of this makes me think of the paper I read recently from Una Hathaway at a Yale Law School, who published a major study called The Dangerous Rise of Dual-Use Objects in War. The paper was tracking how the United States has progressively expanded what counts as a legitimate military target. You know, from bridges in 1991 to apartment buildings in Syria. I think data centers are the next logical step in that sequence. This brings me to my second point, which is that those same laws are also put on the obligation of the defending side, meaning that you're not supposed to hide military operations inside civilian infrastructure. And yet, the United States does exactly that. They deliberately did the opposite of what you're supposed to do with military infrastructure, which in this case, AI can be considered a part of. And all of it was through a $9 billion government contract with our tax dollars. The military AI market is growing from $9.2 billion in 2023 to nearly $39 billion by 2028. In 2022, the Pentagon awarded $9 billion in contracts to AWS, Google, Microsoft, and Oracle to run cloud services at every classification level, from unclassified all the way to top secret. And the Army has mandated all new cloud procurement through that contract. The Pentagon has also just announced plans to build AI data centers on 4 military bases, Fort Hood, Fort Bragg, Fort Bliss, and Dugway Proving Grounds through private partnerships with those same companies. They can afford to build them elsewhere. I want to touch on the data center in Saline Township. I'm from there. I grew up there. I moved here to get away from that. The Detroit News reported that 39 people, including Celine's own board members and some involved in the state regulatory process, signed NDAs, keeping details of the deal hidden. The initial vote against the township allowing a data center was 4-1 no. The township then went into a closed session where the public can't see against Michigan's Open Meeting Act and agreed to move forward because Saline Township did not have moratoriums or any ordinances and rules in place. And because of the threat of exclusionary zoning lawsuit, the deal was passed, begrudgingly, I might add. Dana Nessel, our state attorney general, even challenged this, but the contracts are heavily redacted, which means we can't even verify the consumer protections that they're promised are even there. She called for a contested case with experts and residents able to speak, and the Michigan Public Service Commission said no and fast-tracked the data center instead. The size of that data center is 400 football fields, which obviously sounds insane, but Washington Townships will be around 240 football fields for comparison.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it.
2819 DeVista Drive, Highland, Michigan. Hi, my name is Ray Pooley. I'm a resident of Highland, Michigan, and I'm also the Democrat candidate running for U.S. House of Representatives here in the 9th Congressional District. The fact that Josh Shriver, oh, thank you. The fact that Josh Shriver, that gentleman back there, and I have all shown up here shows this isn't a left or a right thing. This is a right or a wrong thing when it comes to what's in the best interest of our communities. I'm not here to spew a load of facts about closed-loop systems and energy consumption. I'm just going to keep it kind of short. What's in the best interest of the people here and all the problems that they have brought up collectively should be at the first forefront of all of this. If these needs aren't met about water consumption, electricity, noise, surveillance, et cetera, if they're not met, the community is not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. They're probably going to replace a lot of the people that are running around in the area. And it's going to be a nightmare. What I'm saying is if these companies are going to come in here and try and say, we want to come in here, we want to just pull up, set shop up, and just start going to town, no one's going to go for that. If they're not willing to pick themselves up by their bootstraps the way that everyone here does every single day, we don't want them. If they're not willing to invest in our communities, if they're not willing to invest in Michigan, our Great Lakes state, and make sure that our water is clean and that our air is taken care of and that our energy consumption is taken care of to a point where it doesn't become a burden on our residents, we do not want that. Anyway, my name is Ray Pooley. I'm running for Michigan's 9th Congressional District. I'll be in the back. If anybody else wants to meet up with me later, that's on you. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Good evening. I'm Holly Bishop, and I live at 33 in Powell. Thank you for addressing the ordinances. Please ensure that they protect the basic needs of survival for humans, plants, and animals. Hyperscale data centers are known to impact people's quality of life, and people are surrounding the proposed site. There's downtown Romeo, parks, ball fields, playgrounds, schools, farms, nursing homes, soon to be a hospital, and residential homes of growing families as close as half a mile. My family and neighbors are 1 mile away. There are expecting mothers, children, individuals that are immune compromised, elderly, livestock, and wildlife under 3 miles away from this site. Are you willing to risk thousands of people's lives and future and aid in the destruction of Mother Nature, humanity, and a beautiful, thriving community? We don't want this. With all that being said, in addition to what's already been stated, I feel some key points should be included in the ordinances, such as implementing strict noise limits and mandate noise studies, regulate water usage, and prohibit water-intensive cooling systems to protect local wells and water supply. We need transparency with water usage and regular water tests. Restrict the use of diesel generators and restrict testing to business hours. Enforce strict air quality standards. Require a comprehensive traffic study for construction and operational traffic. Mandate expansive buffer zones and establish data center overlay zones far from residential, schools, parks, hospitals, and nursing homes.
require developers to submit detailed energy usage plans, and mandate that the developers submit a detailed plan before approval to prevent abandoned buildings. In addition to all the other specialists that have been asked, if we could get an industrial hygienist and environmental specialist, that would be wonderful. I matter, and you matter, and I know we all really do matter. Please keep these large, dangerous infrastructures out of our backyard. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great night.
Hello, Board. Thank you for your time. Chris Judich, I'm on 31 Mile, about half a mile away from the proposed rezoning data center site. Everyone already hit everything on the head. As far as ordinances, I think we really need to be specific, though. We need an expert specifically that works with hyperscale data centers. A sound, noise expert, that's great. Lighting expert, that's great. Water quality, that's great. But these hyperscale data centers are a unique beast all in themselves. So I think you need an expert that's what they do. They've built them in the past, not only in Michigan, because obviously, there's none currently in Michigan to this scale, but in other states. So I've actually spoken to a couple of them just through, networking, but we need someone who works specifically with hyperscale data centers, and to make that, someone you're consulting, when you're going to your lighting expert, when you're going to your acoustics expert, because they know the appropriate questions to ask. Hey, this is actually the appropriate, high and low frequency decibel range for a hyperscale data center, or this is the appropriate water consumption and what you can really expect. So I think that should be kind of mandatory if we can look for that type of expert to consult with. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. As a resident of Washington Township, a business owner of downtown Romeo, and a grandma of 6 grandchildren who all attend Romeo schools, I will continue to fight for the no data centers. And by the way, if anybody's interested in one of these beautiful shirts or a sign, I have them in the back. Come see me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Roger Delancey. I live at 70607 Romeo Plank. Mike, you'd mentioned that we have plenty of water for these people, but how is that going to affect any growth to come in this sector after they use up all the water? John, you mentioned that you wanted to hold these to 60,000 square feet. That would allow them to build close to 100 of these on that 300 acres. Ron, you mentioned something about national security. Donald Trump and his cohorts, Hessek, and them guys, they're already pushing these AI people to do the wrong thing and just abuse this technology already. And it ain't even got started yet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. It's kind of strange being on this side of the microphone, but nonetheless, we'll try. Gary Kopp, Washington Township. I have just some comments here, and they're in random order, so don't take them as they come. Building size. I've noticed in the readout, what little I know about this is this building size was going to be 200 acres in size. That's 8.8 million square feet. That is incomprehensible to me in terms of a building size. And if you figure the cost at about $140 a square foot, it comes up to $1.2 billion of cost. Add that to your tax base. Washington Township's tax base or taxable, last time I checked it was about $12 billion, which means that their land value now would be about 10% of what the entire taxable use for the township would be. Another thing to consider is EMI RFI. You're right next to an airport. You're going to want to know if these buildings are generating any kind of radio frequency interference that are going to fight off airplanes and any other technical capability that you have, your Bluetooth, for example. As far as noise is concerned, I was in the noise business with Ford Motor Company for 40 years. I know a little bit about it from noise and vibration standpoint. Noise can be dealt with. I don't see a problem with noise. But you need to have somebody come out there and set the limits in terms of A weighting, B weighting, C weighting, and human perception to vibration that needs to be taken care of. As far as power is concerned, a couple years ago, as some of the board members know, the Crimson Project, we approved a 450,000 volt project at 29 Mile and M53. Somebody knew something was coming. That's all I'm going to say about that. Ford Romeo engine plant, I looked at them and said, how much power did they require? I thought maybe they had their own power generation. They don't. They have a high voltage line going to that plant. That plant is dormant right now, so there's a lot of power out there somewhere. We talked about the vibration. From the heat standpoint inside the building, they have these things that are called uninterruptible power supplies. One thing they don't want is they don't want these servers to go down. So if there's a power loss for some reason, the uninterruptible power supply will come on board. They'll keep these things powered up until their outside generation can actually come on board. So I would advocate that they generate their own power. That way it eliminates any of the issues with, are my bills going to go up because you guys are consuming all my power? That's really all I have to say. There was one point in my earlier career here where we talked about this property, and it was actually going to be proposed to be developed as a parts distribution center. So consider the possibility that this land could have had 150 truck bays with 18-wheel trucks going in and out of this property 24/7. This might be a better use for that land. That's all I'm saying.
Hi, Cecilia Simonson. I was talking to my cousin today, and they built what's called a cryptocurrency data center, and it's operated by the Odessa Partners in Drafter Township, Michigan. There's a lot of deception going on because it says this is just south of Sault Ste. Marie. However, the address is listed in Ontario, Canada. This facility, this cryptocurrency data center, is adjacent to a Montessori school, which is called the Lake Superior Academy. This facility has faced local opposition due to noise, with court action initiated in 2025. And it says that this cryptocurrency data mining center is in containerized pods, data pods. So if you're talking 60,000 square feet, are you taking in the possibility that this could be individual pods that could occupy 60,000 square feet? And she lives in Sault Ste. Marie, so it says the Upper Peninsula is increasingly targeted for such projects due to its cold climate, which helps to reduce cooling costs. So I just wanted you to know. It was also permitted and approved under the guise of warehouse. Okay? Thank you very much for listening.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sean Foro, live in Washington Township, and I work at 32 in Powell. And I was driving by here and I saw this meeting today, right? And I said, I gotta come in. So of course I can't even believe I'm at this microphone right now. But all the things, the previous second to last voice we just heard, I said, I cannot let that be the last voice that you guys hear walking out of here with. It's like something that somebody said. There were just some things that were really concerning in the way that I heard some of you guys thinking, how to think through the matter. And it's not even a critique, not a nothing, just a different perspective. And it's like a legal battle. We don't want to open up ourselves to this or that, and it would be harmful for the township, and we would like a source of revenue, and these are reasonable concerns and considerations. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what is just, what is good, what is right, and are these up to opinion? On some matters, I really don't think they are. When the will of the people is from a good place and not wanting to do evil, well, then the will of the people should prevail. on things. And, yeah. The one man asking, your response, Ms. Anderson, was fantastic as far as this is outside of the scope of this, what's the bottom line of AI? Like, what's the bottom line of these data centers? And the lady was talking about they were bombed in war, and this is outside of the scope. But within, it's all relevant, though. Yes. And specifically, land use. I heard you say that this is a land use issue. And the man said, noise, we could handle a certain amount of noise or whatever. I'm not concerned about noise. I live within earshot of the freeway, and I'll tell you my favorite my favorite time of the week is Sunday morning when I get up. Because I walk, I run, I'm at Stony Creek all the time. You can't run and walk up and down 27 Mile enjoyably, or up and down Van Dyke. There's all, like, the quality of life of what this area provides all of us, I think, is ultimately what should be considered. Is this going to disrupt our quality of life? And what would be an acceptable reason an acceptable reason to disrupt our quality of life? What is the benefit that we're all going to have? I got 2 kids at the high school and 1 at Washington Elementary. Like, think about that. And maybe we shouldn't disrupt it or be quick to do so.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christine Laub. I'm currently in the process of moving to Bruce Township right at 34 in Van Dyke. And like the previous speaker, I was not planning on speaking today. But the precedents that are going to be set by these ordinances and any other bylaws set forth because of this is not just going to affect our community. It's setting precedents in the state, which it's a lot easier to loosen restrictions than it is to go and make restrictions harder. So I think it's important that we are making sure that we are putting our due diligence in to look at every single possibility, no matter how obscure the statistical probabilities are, to help protect our communities now, short-term, long-term, and the surrounding communities as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Camille Allensworth. I live at 58172 Dulwich here in Washington Township. Thanks for working on this. I just want to name off some of the things that I've read about ordinances that are in place for other places that do a really good job of taking care of their citizens. That there are no diesel generators, that they hire only local people. If they're going to take away our jobs, they should give only jobs to the people they're taking away. No crypto mining, that they have to publicize their energy usage, that they only use gray water for input, and that 100% of the electricity used is zero carbon sources to not further environmental degradation. That they're, 100% renewable energy source. And then some of the other things that people have mentioned today. But I specifically wanted to talk about that we're being, like, the idea is that we don't have to hire an expert in electricity. And I just want to echo what I think everyone has said, that we don't trust our DTE as the expert in electricity. I've called them with my concerns about my electricity here in Washington Township and my neighbors, and they don't do anything. So I don't think that that is a good enough expert. I would really appreciate if you would hire an expert in electricity usage for this, this particular scenario. And then I appreciate the idea that, we have engineers on staff who are experts, but I really just want to say, if you've never been to a data center, you can't be an expert. So if we are trusting anyone's input, I respect everyone's roles, but we've all been to a Meijer or a, gas station, so we can speak to some of those things. But if you have not been to one of these, you can't be that expert. We have to have someone who has that. speaking to the idea that we're in a race with other countries and there's like a need for this, the US is already home to more data centers than anyone else in the world. We have 45% of the world's data centers here in the US, so that is just not true. I mean, maybe there's a race, but it's unnecessary. We're already winning it. And when there is construction that is already happening, I've been hearing from community members who are concerned about construction happening in that area. What is the fine for that? Why is nothing being done? What should be done? And then who is the burden on? And to the 10% of the taxable income in the township, let's not put all our eggs in one basket. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to make a statement. Before I go, I have one thing to say. Stop AI data centers. They're bad for our environment.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'll try and have no verbosity. My name is Alex Portell. I've been here before. I represent my grandmother, who is 87 years old, who lives in Washington Township. And I'd just like to remind everyone a few key points from something I found 2 months ago, was that the company Prologis is anti-Second Amendment. Let's see, excuse me, trying to, well, I just wanted to say that much, because also we understand that data centers are being used for AI, and in conjunction with the data and the AI, it's being used by flock cameras, and those are unconstitutional. So I just wanted to just bring awareness to that. I really don't have anything formal to say or any citations, but really grateful for, forget who before me said that, trying to come understand from the board and the city council's point of view. I can only imagine that it's like, you know, whatever you want, you have to separate that and really play within a certain game, a certain workflow. So to be honest though, as my grandmother's a taxpayer, or was a taxpayer, and my late grandfather was, our answer is no, and your decision is going to be no. Thank you.
All right, I appreciate everybody's taking their time tonight. It's obviously a lot to take in, and we got a lot of work to do. To put something together that will stand, I'd like to be on the cutting edge of this thing. I'd like to think that we do the right thing and get above this, and before this, somebody had said that, you know, we're writing an ordinance not just for us, but that we're hoping that some other communities can say, oh man, they did a great job, and that's our goal. You know, that's ultimately our goal. It's not to outlaw use, or it's just, hey, you know, it's responsible development. We're trying to do responsible development here. That's what this commission's all about. To do it right to the point where we don't get challenged. Or if we get challenged, it gives our attorneys the right to defend us in a way that they feel confident. So that's what we're here for. I appreciate everybody taking their time to come out. That said, our job as commissioners would be to pass the buck and put the onus on you guys. So that's what I'm here to do, you know, and honestly, yeah, the experts in the room, I mean, obviously, we've had anything from wildlife, energy, noise, a data center expert as a whole, water and sewer experts. I'm very confident in Mike's abilities, but, you know, we'll wait and see what the direction is on all this. I'll turn it back over to the commissioners if you guys have anything to add.
No, I don't. Lots been said.
A lot, yeah. John, do you have anything?
No, I'm just, with regards to our experts, do you have enough to go on now to start putting together some guidelines for us, some developmental pieces? Is there anything that you need from this commission authorized that would help you do what you need to do over the next month?
So it sounds like the board's bringing on an acoustical engineer.
Yes.
My other recommendation to the board would be to look at someone for fire response as an expert. Your fire chief has recommended someone to bring on board. So happy to coordinate with the attorneys and with the board of trustees to make that connection.
Okay.
You know, one thing that wasn't brought up today, and I just wanted to bring it to light too, we have a dark sky ordinance. And I know a lot of concerns with regard to lighting at night and what, we have an ordinance in place. So whoever comes into that property, whether it's a data center, industrial, golf course, they're going to have to comply. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that standard's pretty tight. I don't know how much better we can get on that, but.
You can take some time and double check it.
We can look into it.
You can take some time and double check it and make sure it will apply to
So-
them, and if it doesn't, then you can move forward and add additional standards.
Would it be acceptable to provide, I mean, I know you can't restrict them to the point where it's impossible, but there are requirements code-wise where you can go above and beyond code, but you can't mandate above and beyond code. Could you, zoning-wise, you can't override code requirements, correct? I mean.
Correct. The
so-
zoning ordinance deals with land use and regulation. It cannot override the International
Like-
Fire Code or the International Building Code.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
I mean, that's
positively not.
the, like, LEED certified, energy compliant, green building type of, that's all way above and beyond what
Yes.
code standards are. And obviously, the state has already weighed in with their adoption of their Michigan Energy Code, so it kind of would override that. So we
Yeah.
can't go beyond that with energy consumption requirements.
With one caveat being that if it's incentive-based, right, if the townships has an incentive built in, like for a height exception, for example, if they provide LEED certified buildings, that's the time when you can have those ordinances, but it can't be a requirement.
Right.
So it is something we could consider.
That's
Okay.
some give and take.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, I think at this point, it would be the appropriate time to direct Kayla to start working on putting some kind of framework together for an ordinance. A lot of the stuff that was mentioned tonight were things, decommissioning bonds, energy use caps. I don't know if we can get into that or not, but that, I mean, I don't know how we can highlight that. I would like energy to be there prior to construction, so we don't end up with a giant building that's not able to be energized, that ends up running on generators before they get the system in place.
And like I said, you can require written confirmation from DTE that there is adequate energy.
Okay.
That you can require.
Capping the usage of water to, I don't know that we can do that as long as, can we do anything with regard to sewer capacities and monitoring and reporting?
We can tie it to a square footage.
Okay.
We can give you a range of options that kind of show you the gamut of what similar uses would be from a physical standpoint, but obviously, you know, this is unique, but we'll give you a range.
And then 60,000 square feet, I'd like to tie that to the total development, not to a structure itself. Because you could build a building 10 feet apart and do 60,000, 60,000, 60,000.
Oh, just to try and sneak in under the threshold?
Yeah, I'd like to, as a development as a whole.
Total square footage.
The total square footage of the development as a whole, not just the building size.
As a threshold for the special land.
Yeah, trying to skirt it by building two 29,999 square foot buildings that come in just under
Yeah.
60,000.
Right. So,
I think that would also be included within the definition of data center.
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, collaboration.
Right now, it applies to all industrial buildings, so.
All industrial. Yeah, I
Now,
think
is that-
that would be, as a whole, the overall cumulative design for the development.
What is the sanitary service up there right now? Does that flow into our sewer district, or does that go to the wastewater treatment plant?
Well, I'll caution that we are talking about the entire zoning ordinance and not a particular parcel. The parcel that everyone seems to be speaking about, yes, is tributary to the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
But there are other locations that we also must think about holistically in the whole
Yeah,
township.
and I think it would be safe to assume, I guess not safe, to you don't assume anything, that doesn't work. I would also like to say if there is not water and sewer available on a site, this should not happen.
And we'll get into the
Because
specific
there-
definitions with the
we
attorneys
can't
about
get
what
into-
extension means and what available means, because that is a very hotly litigated issue, and we'll be sure that we're protected there. But
Okay.
I would agree that, you know, someone that's coming in to spend $1 billion to build something doesn't think twice about, I can put 2 miles of water main in, it's no
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
So we do, if we're going to relate it to those items being available, we're going to define that very clearly.
Available,
and limit it.
like currently existing.
The today.
Yes. Okay, that's, because I mean, obviously, the wells are a major concern. We do
Well-
not need to be tapping into groundwater.
I was going to say, the long and short of that is that they won't be touching any groundwater.
Yeah.
It will be, if they're going to use water, it'll be city water.
I think we're clear that there would be a provision that says it
Yeah.
cannot use groundwater in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's,
For
I think
both
we're all on the same
Withdrawal
page.
and discharge. We're not allowing any
Absolutely.
discharges directly back into waters of the state, existing bodies of water. If there's a pond, none of that
Right.
would be
I
allowed.
think we should discuss buffer zones, the distances from property lines, things like that. I don't know, there's other communities that have, I know you had handed out, I think Mason, they had some. I mean, I've seen anything from
I would think setbacks.
reasonable to insane. I mean, I've seen quarter mile setbacks, which is kind of interesting. But, yeah.
I vote for reasonable.
I know. I've seen some out there that are just, wow. I'm interested to see when they're going to get sued.
Yeah. I think that might be something we want to discuss too, once we get our acoustical
framework.
engineer on board.
Yeah.
Talk about, how far.
The distances, the
noise travels.
DBA,
and-
DBB, DBCs, I mean, there's things they can do and they'll have to do in order to protect that, no matter what size they're doing it. I think that's all reasonable. Is that enough for you to get rolling, you think, or, I'm sorry?
Yeah, no, don't be sorry. This is what I'm here for. I would propose for the next meeting, we come up with a framework, maybe like a 50% draft that has annotated comments and looks at some of those sources and case studies so that we can then begin to flesh out some of those details. We'd propose some definitions, talk to you about some options about, where would this fit in? And then also start to design those performance standards that would apply then to all large-scale industrial and data centers. I think that's the key thing is that the issues that you're hearing, while focused on the data center, don't apply just to the data center. There's just some concern about impacts of different development. So what does it mean to put performance standards in our ordinance that apply across the board to set those thresholds?
You don't want to fix one problem and create another.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Thanks for summing that up quicker than I could.
It's exactly what you mean. You don't want to fix one thing and have another, no.
That makes sense.
Especially because you're not under any shotgun to get this done, so.
And I would encourage you guys to, between meetings, feel free to, send us those questions and, we're happy to address them. But everything will come out in our memos and our staff reports and our ordinances as well.
I appreciate it. I think that
Motion.
you're good.
You can do a motion to postpone it, then direct Mike to come back with some stuff, Kayla come back with some stuff. I'll get in touch with the acoustical engineer.
Okay.
If a board retains him,
Assuming-
and get some
yeah.
information from him.
So
and
that-
get some dates to have him come before the commission so he can address you
All right,
directly.
yeah, I'll make the motion to adjourn this item until the April 9th meeting with that, at that time, for Kayla to come back with a good 50% draft. The council to work with the township board and any experts that they move forward with, and for Mike to work with Kayla, or at least to scope out items that should be addressed engineering-wise.
Yeah, we're looking at that as a component of her outline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Any,
It's a good
can I
first
get a
step.
support?
Support.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, and we'll move it to the April 9th meeting, so.
I would like a 51% draft.
You've got late.
Let's move on to item 7C, which is the PC annual report.
Okay. That concludes the data center portion of the evening.
Give me just a sec to pull it up on my end, sorry.
You know what, actually, well, take 5 minutes. Let's take a 5-minute break. And my water is gone, so.
You seem
Drink some.
Where'd your people
We're going to are you ready? Is WBRB?
Are you ready?
They're ready.
Ready? Oh, thumbs up. Okay. Yeah, we're going to move forward with the agenda. Actually, I'd like to make a motion to move old business 8A up above the Planning Commission annual report. We have a developer waiting here.
Sure. Support?
We can talk about our report a little bit later. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move forward with the Michelangelo Retail Center Site Plan Review continued, parcel 240414 of 100-010 east side of Van Dyke and south of 30 Mile Road. I think the developer and his team are present, so if you wouldn't mind, we'll hear what you have to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for doing that for us. John DeLisle, I'm with Noack and Fraus.
Pablo boat sunk.
Civil engineer. We are in receipt of all the letters. Thank you for those regarding the submittal that we had made for the site plan. This followed, of course, the variances that we had requested and received for 6 various items throughout the small site. Challenging site, but we think we've got all of your comments addressed. We were able to, I think, respond positively on all of them, which I guess the biggest changes of which were probably the size of the sign changed. So we're now out of, we're at the proper setback and also out of the site triangles. So it's total 8 foot in length, but everything else remains the same. And then we were agreeable also to the recommendation for the light, the 30K color temperature that you requested, not a problem. With respect to the engineering comments, we did add some language explaining what the different easements are on the property. And we actually added an additional little triangular easement for the gravel drive that flips the very southwest corner of the site. So you can see that here. But the neighbor to the east is agreeable to giving us a proposed 30-foot easement, which we've identified up here on this drive, which we're accessing. And then we just add the clarifying language that this gravel drive will be removed from Mr. Magnoli's property and put into that 30-foot easement that was intended for that drive. The approach remains where it is, and there is some electrical, infrastructure down at the south end of that site. So it will remain, and we'll just turn it into the intended easement. So with those changes, we're asking for your recommendation for approval, and certainly can respond to any questions you might have.
Perfect. I know, Kayla, you had a couple comments. Did you want to expand? It sounds like he's addressing those, correct?
Yeah, so based on that, we'd want to see the changes, but we'd be comfortable with, approval of modifications if that's what the Planning Commission would like to do. I just want to quickly recap the history. So just as a reminder, this was before you guys in September of 2025. There were quite a few deficiencies on the site. It was a really different layout from what was presented in this application. So the Planning Commission had tabled it to give them time to either adjust the plans or go seek those variances. There were 6 variances that were granted by the ZBA at their last meeting, which is why the applicant is back here today with this set of plans that has those variances applied. As far as our comments, they were really minimal. John mentioned they addressed the sign. It sounds like the monument sign was in the setback area, so that's a really small change. The other one, related to your earlier comments about our light ordinance, we do require dark sky compliant light fixtures, and a part of that compliance is actually the color temperature that they select for that light fixture. So we just recommended that they go to the 300K lighting versus the 400. So if those are addressed, we're fine with these. They meet the standards and the variances.
Is 300K?
It should be
30K.
30K or 300?
Shouldn't that be 3,000 K?
Thank you. It's a 3 number.
Okay. All right.
1 0 2 0 3 zeros.
Potatoes, potatoes. Okay.
Something that's not too bright.
Any other comments from?
As long as it's dark skies compliant with the ordinance.
Two quick ones. Our list is pretty straightforward. I assume John will have addressed them. We can definitely do a check like we typically do if the commission's looking to approve. Can you just clarify again to me what's happening at that south driveway as it relates to the pathway and extending it all the way to the property line and future connections and all that stuff?
Yeah, let me just zoom in here for you. Maybe too much?
Just a little more zoom in.
Can't quite see it yet.
And I'm working without a mouse here, too.
Oh, man. We're
Yeah.
going the wrong way. There it goes.
All right. So the south property line is the heavy dark line running left to right across the bottom of the screen there. And the pathway coming down, the concrete pathway meets this gravel ingress egress for the apartments behind us. So being that the approach is located where it is within Van Dyke and for reasons related to the infrastructure and the road just to the south, we've got overhead utilities and some other items there. They've constructed it maybe 30 years ago or more at this location. So swinging it into that 30-foot wide easement that it was supposed to line up with to the south of us, off of our property, there is a little clipping of the corner there that we propose to exchange that ingress egress right, just like they're providing for us on the north end on their property. We would provide this to them so they can utilize the south.
So my concern is always, if you're stopping short of the property line and they come in the next time to develop, we have these sidewalks that don't meet anywhere, right? There's a gap that they're going to go, that's not my problem, I don't really care. So I mean, looking at it very quickly, a potential solution would be, would you be amenable to basically paving the gravel portion that's in the dedicated right-of-way, so up to that line, the full width, and have the pathway extend down across that driveway? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have no problem extending it
Let's gravel
down,
the rest.
but how will it look? I mean, if you're okay with that,
It'll look better than that.
yeah, well, then, make it subject to that. We'll run the cement all the way to the property line, but it's gonna be surrounded by stone.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So there's already an asphalt approach, right? So either
All the way
extend
to
that
the
asphalt approach up to the edge of the concrete walk. So basically, everything west of the new right-of-way line is paved, and then you're gravel the rest of the way back.
A more traditional
Okay.
situation.
Okay. I think that's a cleaner solution for the next 20 years or so, if nothing else.
And is that something that can be reviewed during the engineering
As
review?
long as they show it on the final plan, that we sign off on a site plan, then we match it to the engineering and we make sure we're good. So that,
That's-
if they're willing to make that change and they can submit it like we would normally do.
Of course.
Include it in the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Include it in the motion, that way there's a record
And
of
then just
it.
our other
Yeah.
comments, as long as the rest of our comments are addressed, I have no.
And that'll probably be a concrete
That's fine.
approach all the way.
That
So it'll
makes
be
the most sense.
Even better.
Yeah, it'll look better.
Any commissioner comments?
No, the easements are taken care of. Trying to remember, was there a note about the storm sewers or runoff?
Oh, I lied. That was my second comment. Sorry. You're connecting out into the county system with a restricted outlet. Our only concern would be, is that going to be designed to basically back up into the parking lot? There is some detention in the parking lot that's permitted per ordinance, but it's pretty limited in terms of volume and depth. So I don't know if there's anything you're going to add to the site plan, but we're going to nail you in the engineering.
Yeah, we don't believe it's going to affect the site plan at all.
Okay.
But we are working with the county drain office, who their records were showing the parcel at a larger size, and if you notice on Parcel Explorer, this property is off. It's not correctly shown. So there's some confusion there, but we believe we're under an acre. I think
Oh, so we're less than an acre.
We're
and
less than an
connected to the
acre.
System, they're like, no detention.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's just a matter of getting that approved, and I think Department of Roads was good with it.
And again, our only concern is, and we can do it during engineering, would be hydraulically to make sure that we show that 4-inch, as they are limiting you to that 4-inch, isn't going to automatically cause it to be stored and detained. That's what we have to worry about. So I'm good. Thank you, John, for the reminder. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great.
Other than that, I
We
think
can
they've answered all
entertain
the
a
questions I had from last time and this time.
Yeah.
The ZBA did their job and got us out of a lot of holes that we were having to try and dig out of.
That was a tough site.
Beautiful thing. I'll make a motion to approve the site plan request for Michelangelo Retail Center located at 2404 14100 for the purpose of constructing a 4,612 square foot, 2-unit retail building with the conditions they replace the approach with concrete to be able to extend the sidewalk to the property line, and comply with any engineering and departmental standards that in site plan comments
Of the planner.
from the planner.
We good? Support?
Roll call, Dana?
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Chaplin?
Yes.
Mr. Jaskey?
Yes.
Mr. Robb?
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Have a good rest of your night.
All right, you too.
You guys too.
What's left?
And we can move on to, or back to, item 7C, the PC annual report.
So Mike asked that I make this a long one.
Hey. You can take your time. I was expecting to be here longer. Where did I put it? I got all my stuff out of order now.
It's only 9:20. Who's got anywhere else to be, right?
Easy. It's not over yet.
If you jinx anything.
Okay.
We've got till
Kayla,
midnight.
if you don't mind. Who did the? My report?
I'm gonna.
I lost my report, so I'm gonna
We'll find
it
you one.
eventually.
It's right there.
There it is.
Sticky note.
I got it. Excellent.
I will make this really quick. So as a planning commission, the state requires that every year you prepare an annual report that you then give to your board of trustees, your legislative body. So we've prepared a draft annual report for you, and we're just looking for approval of this report to basically say, yes, this is what occurred over this last year. These were the priorities. This is what we're working towards and what we're hoping to achieve. And then we will, once that approval's been met, we'll bring that up to the Board of Trustees at their next meeting, or whichever agenda we can get on next. Just a recap of the year for your reference and for the public record. The Planning Commission in 2025 met a total of 11 times, processed 24 applications, and recommended 5 substantial ordinance amendments to the Board of Trustees, all of which were adopted. Big ones this year were amendments to your off-street parking ordinance to get all the parking standards in one place. You adopted some of your village district design guidelines into the ordinance versus just having that reference design guideline document. You also did your sign ordinance, so that was a big change this year. In 2026, the Commission intends to continue implementing the master plan as detailed in the work program. If you recall, we went over that work plan, I believe in March of 2025, and just pulled out the highest priority items from the master plan that we wanted to keep implementing. Obviously, with the application and this work on the ordinance amendments for data centers and large-scale industrial uses, that's taking top priority, but we still have those other ordinance amendments that we're hoping to tackle in 2026. So I attached that work plan back as Appendix A for your reference. And I'm happy to answer any questions on this. Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion to accept this draft and forward it on to the Board of Trustees.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you.
Nicely done, as usual. And that takes us to, out of 8, we're going to 9. Flip the page. I believe that's,
Project update.
Oh my God, I never even would have thought we'd have a
Project
project update tonight.
unbelievable.
It was a very cold winter, so it was pretty quiet on the construction front. You have noticed a lot of the commercial projects have started back up. Newberry South, just south of here, about halfway done with their utility work there, completed the road crossing last week without too much fanfare, but still lots to go there. the 26-mile road and Van Dyke right to south of there, the old Rite Aid is, building work is underway on that to divide it into 3 separate units. Site work to follow. A lot of residential sites continuing single-family build-out. The Romeo Medical facility there on the east side of Van Dyke did continue working through most of the winter, and they are focused on the building up front right now, the retail, multi-tenant retail building that's up front. Most everything should kick back off here as the weather continues to break, frost laws come off. We're going to see more utility installation, and there's still a lot of paving work. Last one would be just Washington 27, the retail center there on the west side of the road across from Autumn Park. They're still working, all that underground was done last year, but they're still working on that front building. They have a lot of paving work to do as well, and then there's at least one other building on that site. But that should all start with paving work here probably April, May-ish as it continues to get warmer.
What's going in that unique building that's sitting across from, on the west side of Van Dyke?
That was the one that I was just talking about. That's a multi-tenant retail building.
Oh, is that it? Yeah.
It's unique in that, as you described, in that all of the entrances are on the west side of the building, so you don't see doors. You'll see, faux windows and obviously full brick. And then there is a drive-through facility approved just north of that that hasn't started. All the utilities are in, but no vertical construction yet for that one. And paving work on Powell Road from, let's say, basically Total Soccer to the north up to 32 Mile Road will resume here very shortly. That was suspended due to weather over the winter. A lot of the grading work is done, but road base prep really hasn't started yet, and it's currently very much full of potholes. I drove it today. It's a little dicey.
Have you heard anything about a Mound Road work coming?
The Mound Road, we'll call it a resurfacing project, is in the TIP program. So recall that is a program that's funded primarily with federal dollars. 80% is federal dollars, 20% is local, split between the county and the township. But, and I don't want to say the wrong year, but it's definitely not this year, and I don't believe it's next year, but might be the year after that. Those TIP dollars those projects do shift occasionally if someone drops out because they don't have the match or they're not ready to actually build it. They do shift, but that one is going to be the cheapest couple miles that the township's going to get done, but it does have to wait a little bit just because of the allocation. The only other positive is with additional state dollars coming in through road programs that is trickling down through the county agencies and then to local city agencies that get federal money and state money. There's additional infusion of cash in that this year that not everyone is sure about where that goes yet. That could shift some projects around, push things up a little forward, shift the tip even. So, cross fingers, but no promises.
Get ready to patch some more of that. That'll be fine.
A lot of cold patch right now.
And have we heard anything from the trucking facility on Mound the mining facility on Mound and 31 Mile that tried to use the gate on 31? I just don't want to see them do that again. That's a disaster when they do. It cuts out sections of the dirt road.
We visited the site when there was still snow on the ground over the winter.
They haven't been using it lately.
Okay, yeah, and it did not appear
I wondered
that
if they
was
were, I know
operational.
they had talked about coming to be able to use the entrance on 30, and I know there'd be work to be done, and it would have to come back here. I just wondered if they have reached out at all.
I haven't seen
Not at this
anything.
time.
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't seen anything either.
Sounds good. I'll keep my eye out.
I have a question. This has got nothing to do with the planning commission. It's personal. Has anybody taken a good look at that home that has the deteriorating and allowing the American flag to land on the ground? It is absolutely abysmal. And I'll tell you what, as a personal person, a vet, that's wrong, period. I don't care whether it's private property or otherwise, but go take a good look. I was going to take a picture. I didn't get a chance tonight because of other things.
Is this near the roundabout, south of the roundabout?
Yes, it is horrible. American flags hanging all over on the ground, up in the air, sideways. They're ripped. Take a look. I'll be honest with you, I think you'd be embarrassed that that's somebody in our country that's doing that. And the guys for it all is we're a farm and we're doing something with hemp and all that, but that has nothing to do with the fact that they are being disrespectful to our flag and the people who died for it. And if I have to do it personally, I will. But I wondered if there was anything we could either send somebody to talk to them but take a look first if you get a chance. I don't know if you ever get up in my neck of the woods, but I see that every day. And it really, 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 really bothers me.
Sure.
Thank you.
After you, the commission, not just, the
Board update.
Township Board update.
Township Board update.
Commission.
Busy board meeting, lots going on. The budget was presented at the past board meeting, so I will go through that line by line for everyone. And, but I won't bore you with the entire budget. The state of the township is good. Everything is looking good. We've got a lot of projects that we're getting done. One thing I do want to point out that is germane to the discussion we had here tonight is when you look at our permits for single-family home building over the past decade. Everyone talks about how dense we're getting and how much building is going on. Our single-family home permits have declined 60% over the past 10 years. So development is definitely slowing in Washington Township. Doesn't always seem like it, but it's not going at nearly the pace it used to. So it's something that I wanted to point out that was germane to the discussion tonight. Other than that, we voted on an elevator modernization proposal for this building. We've got 2 aging elevators, and with the state changing the regulations and updating things at 30-plus years old, those elevators are out of compliance, or very shortly will be out of compliance in a lot of areas. So that's going to be about a $260,000 upgrade to fix those 2 elevators and bring them into compliance. New safety systems, we need, climate control for the mechanical rooms now, things like that, that the state is requiring as they update their ordinances. We also had the Clifton Corners PUD Yatesview Estates PUD amendment to come before us. The board followed the recommendations of the Planning Commission. They agreed to the wetlands mitigation and not to the setback request. So they are, it was a unanimous vote on that. So that is where that stands. We are also now moving to the online BSA permitting and inspection system. So,
You're going to the cloud.
The cloud.
Going to the
You're not going to the
cloud.
online
Going to the
permitting.
cloud.
No.
Yeah, that's different.
Well, I think that's,
That's part
You're
of it.
doing both?
Yeah.
yes.
Ooh, good.
So now, anybody that wants to do permits or schedule inspections, when this comes online, you'll be able to do it on our website rather than have to come into the township hall. So it should be,
That also involves our applications too.
yeah. it
Just
should-
so you know, your clerical staff will hate you. Your clerical staff will now have to click the button 3 times as many times to do the same job.
Yes, but the people will be
Job
happy.
security.
There you go.
So, there you go. Let's see. And we also approved the resolutions for the police and fire to go on the ballot for, I believe it's the August election. Those are unchanged from the previous 4-year millages, 2 mills each. So those will be up again this fall to vote on.
For the cloud, do you want to just give, not that we want to go into just a lengthy discussion, but the reason why we're switching?
Because
Has to do
it's
with
better?
BSNA. Because
You can-
BSNA is,
Yeah.
there's going to come a point where the .NET that we have now, they're no longer going to service. So
Servers.
they haven't given a date, but the date is going to be soon. So we're trying to get ahead of everything so we can get the training, because once that data is established, all the municipalities that do use BSNA are going to be in a scramble trying to set up, adequate training for the staff. Our township is very proactive, the township board, in establishing this at a time where, we can properly train the staff and have the time. So the decision, is based on the fact that there's going to come a point where it's not going to be serviced with what we have now. And, we want to give, obviously, the township board want to give the staff the training and not have to be rushed into something so quickly, so.
It's the fiscally responsible thing to do in the
Thank
end,
you.
because
Yeah.
the servers get very expensive to fix and repair, and once those go down, they're just not gonna service them. It's just, It's the right thing to do. It takes some getting used to. I'll put it that way.
This is the future. Let's see, other than that, we had a representative from Waste Management regarding the solid waste management plan amendment for the Pine Tree Acres landfill over in Lenox. They want to, they're going around to each of the I believe it was 27 townships or cities in the county, asking for support on an expansion plan. The site itself is currently at 813 acres with 550 permitted. They're asking for an additional permit to open up 236 acres for development, using 135 for disposal, and the other will be infrastructure and I believe expansion of the recycling program. So that, according to the paperwork they submitted, will buy us another 25 years of life out of that landfill. So that was brought before the board, and they voted to support that resolution for the Lenox landfill expansion. Other than that, there was some data center discussion, and we adjourned.
Chair, if I may.
Thank you, appreciate it. And we can move on to, what? Oh,
Sorry.
I thought you were going to say something.
I have one more. I just want to put a plug in. March 18th, so a week from yesterday, we're going to have a public hearing at the Board of Trustees meeting at 6:30 regarding the Hawks Acres Community Park Phase 1 development. We'll have a public hearing to get public input on the design itself, but we'll be looking for the Board of Trustees to authorize us to work on a Michigan Department of Natural Resources Land and Water Conservation Fund, quite the mouthful, application. So anyone that wants to come out to that meeting, we really encourage you to attend and weigh in on the park design, because it's really important for the community to preserve that green space and be able to develop it for the long-term future.
What's the date?
March 18th, 6:30, right back in this room.
With regard to the board, I would like to see, I don't know if they've done it yet. Have you guys done any kind of resolution to the state regarding this House bill stuff with the zoning?
No.
You should do that.
Not a bad idea.
I know where I work, they just did theirs, or it's going to be on Monday's meeting for a resolution against that House bill.
If you have a copy, ship it over to me.
I will. Yeah, and that's obviously for commission discussion. I don't know if everybody knows what's going on with that, but the House bill that's out there right now is looking to take away control from municipalities and take away our ability to zone, well, maybe not to zone our properties, but they're mandating that your minimum lot sizes can't be any larger than 1,500 square feet. 500 square feet minimum on a home is the most you could go. You get a duplex by right on any single-family property. You can do ADUs on any single-family property. You could, honestly, and by right, you can pull a mobile home onto any single-family property. So these are things that are just, I mean, it's going to decimate a lot of communities that try to keep what we want to be developed. Don't get me wrong, there needs to be something done in affordable housing. I mean, when we have developers coming here saying, hey, we're doing affordable housing, and we ask, what are you selling them for? $750,000. Not so affordable, I get it. But there's ways to do that, and the MTA and MML and SEMCOG have put opposing bills out there that will come up with incentive-based things to drive, and maybe we have to allow tiny houses somewhere. Okay, then we can zone that. It would give us the chance to regulate where that can go. But they're trying to, the state legislators who wrote this obviously have developers' best interests in mind. And unfortunately, they're trying to take that local control away, pretty much.
Is that scheduled for vote pretty soon? Or?
It's being pushed through. I don't know. There's been letters sent out to people that are on the Republican Party stating that if they don't vote a certain way, it's going to reflect negatively on their scorecard as a Republican. There's a lot of nasty stuff going on out there to push people to vote for this. So if you know anybody, legislation-wise, reach out to your reps. It's important. If you want to say you're worried about a data center and you're worried about a development that's an R1D that frankly, I mean, could be a nice development, and meets a future land map, and in the end, somebody's going to pull a bunch of trailers and throw them in there and nobody's going to have a word to say. It's scary. So. That said, any further discussion of the commission? Sorry, I got my piece out.
No, I support your statement. I think it's important. You know, in essence, it strips local control. I mean, that's it. Who knows what's better for us than us? And, if that goes to the state, it becomes difficult for us to maintain, what we know works for our communities.
Well, I appreciate everybody's time, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
You moved, I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.